And you have kicked off Dark Souls at the same time.
Yes.
Perfect. Perfect.
Interactive episode. I'm not streaming enough Dark Souls for this. Give me a second to rectify.
We're going to rectify this right now. Dark
Boy,
Souls is incoming, folks. We're going to make this
you're gonna
happen.
hear me swear at random.
Right. And now is this Dark Souls the first Dark Souls, or is this a different Dark Souls?
Remastered.
This is the remastered. This is the
Remastered.
this is the remastered one. I really wish it
I
was.
gotta I really gotta reset this because apparently it didn't register the fact that I had a controller.
Oh, yeah, it's going to need to know that you have a controller. Other
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's
Only
going to be necessary.
psychopaths play without controllers. And if your friend says, "Oh, I totally play Dark Souls without a controller,"
Mm.
you should probably kill them before they kill you.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. They're a witch. You must stop them.
They're a witch.
They're a
Yeah,
witch.
they play an int-based build. I don't understand. They're a witch.
Yeah, no, the only time I tried to play Dark Souls, I ended up playing I was like, "Yeah, well, I'm going to give myself a good challenge if I'm going to play this." And I ended up playing the what was it, the Condemned, whatever the one that doesn't like have anything. I literally just had like a board in my hand and like a stick.
Deprived.
Yeah. That's what I decided I would play.
It's
And
a hell of a way to start. That's for
yeah,
certain.
yeah. Well, I knew that I probably wasn't going to be very happy with it anyway because my previous experience with From Software was Demon Souls, and that game's evil.
Ooh, yeah.
That game's evil, and I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it.
It's okay. That game hates you too.
Yes, it does. Every single moment of every single day. Um,
So, my experience with Demon Souls was someone who knew it way too well. So it was, hey, you want to see me gank a random noob? What does that mean? I'm just gonna kill this dude who has just started the game. You've been
mm.
playing this for 2 years now? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. See, to this day, I think it's just From Software, like the Souls-like games for me just don't work. Like and when I end up in a game and I'm like, "Oh, this is a Dark Souls, isn't it?" I'm like I'm like, "No, I had just tried playing Remnant and I was like, I don't really know what this game is. It's from Gunfire though, so maybe it's okay cuz I like the Darksider series, so this is probably going to be interesting." And I started playing it and I was like, "Oh shit, this is Dark Souls, isn't it?"
Uh,
And it is. It is very much Dark Souls. And no, I'm not. It's more forgiving. I will give it that. You don't really lose anything when you die. You just go back to the last checkpoint you had, and
it
but
definitely has that sort of
yeah,
intensity in mind.
it has the whole thing where like, well, now all the enemies respawn, and if you have to go back over that again, um, and it was just a point where I was like, oh god, played
We'll have
for
fun now.
played for a while, and then it's just it also unfortunately something that I did not like about Dark Souls is the controls are a little bit wooden for me when you're trying to move your character around, and Remnant has that too. Your character feels like you have guns, which I guess is somewhat more helpful, but that feeling like you might as well be controlling a tank, like when you're trying to go through those hallways. And I got to the first boss, and you're in these enclosed spaces with basically something that likes to ram into you repeatedly. Uh,
Ooh.
yeah, and like insta kill
So
you.
side roll, side roll.
Yeah, well, side roll, and I would have been fine doing side roll, except the game then decided, you know what, not difficult enough for your first boss. He's also gonna have a bunch of little kamikaze bomber dudes that keep running up to you all the time.
Oh, that's just mean.
From all over the place, like just from behind you, and better yet, when they explode, they create a spore cloud, which gets you sick. So now, if you didn't die before, you're probably gonna get sick and die
Oh
of
god,
whatever
somebody killed him.
disease. And so, and you have to actually like use a specific like potion or something to stop being diseased while you're playing, and I'm like, I don't
That's
have
awful.
time for this. I don't have time. Stop.
I don't got time for this bullshit.
Yeah, I know. It's I'll be interested. Like when DC comes on, he had been playing the new Jedi Fallen Order, and that has like some Dark Souls elements, and I'd be interested
I've
to
heard.
see. I'd be interested to see if that's any better. He seemed to say that it was not bad. It pretty good. I mean, I suppose it's a little bit more helpful for the Dark Souls formula if you have like force push you can use at your
So from
disposal.
what I've heard is, at least Fallen Order is it's very much we saw that the combat of Dark Souls was very engaging, so we just took that.
Well,
You mean you guys ripped it off wholesale? Yeah. Well,
well,
it's EA. I guess that makes sense.
they ripped everything off. Like if you the girlfriend reviews one was really good. I really
I
enjoyed that.
I haven't seen a girlfriend's review video pop up on my feed in a while. Probably
You
'cause I'm not
haven't
subscribed.
it just this last week they did Jedi Fallen Order. It
That would
was
explain.
terrific. I have to like actively look for it because sometimes it doesn't actually pop up on my thing. But I watched that and I watched Zero Punctuation to see what Yahtzee was saying, and Yahtzee was like, it's fine. Like he was actually like, I guess I can kind of recommend it, only because they
Go
basically
away.
took
Go away. Go away. Ah!
they basically took like all concepts that were good in other games and then they mashed them together into a game. So
They took these things that I like
yeah,
and just mashed them together. So
yeah,
I can't be mad. I can
yeah.
just be upset.
But it was funny though because I was watching girlfriend reviews and Shelby eventually at just one point kind of goes, "No one told me this was gonna be a Dark Souls," and it's and,
Yeah.
and then they go into this whole long thing. Oh my god, it was brilliant where they were talking about like the entire lineage of Star Wars games up to this point too. But they get into the whole thing of like how they don't just rip off Dark Souls, they rip off Uncharted, they rip off Metroid, they rip off everyone in this
Oh yeah, the
game.
game is very much a like hodgepodge of other
Oh
games,
yeah.
but everyone seems to be, they
You
ripped off
know,
games that are good
yeah.
and they didn't worse. So
Yeah. You
not
know,
mad,
you
just
know,
kind of disappointed.
I guess the thing I would say is I think everyone was just so damn happy that they finally actually made a like
Star
single
Wars
player
game.
Star Wars game that didn't suck. They made a Star Wars game that didn't suck. And they were
That
like,
wasn't fully microtransaction based.
yeah, like, oh, you're making a Star Wars game that focuses on a single player campaign that doesn't have microtransactions involved and doesn't have all those predatory things going on.
Ah!
And it's like, yeah, I guess that's going to
Ah!
get a lot
Let
of
me
good.
alone! Leave me alone! Leave me alone! I dead.
Did you just start a new game or are you going back to an old save?
I started a new save 2 days ago.
Oh, okay. Okay. Um, yeah.
Middle of. I should probably leave the catacombs because I'm really just. I shouldn't be here.
Ugh, the catacombs. See, the thing that really annoyed me is I got into the foresty part, the foresty
Yep.
ruin things, and that is actually the point where I rage quit. Things were going okay. Like
Ah!
they had those giant whatever they're called. What are they called?
Giants?
The
Stone
yeah, those
knights?
giant statues. They have those big statues and they come out of the ground and then they try to
Yeah, the
smack
stone
you with the
dudes.
thing. Yeah, those. Those are actually real easy to deal with, right? Like all you need to do for those is you just try to hit them a bunch before they can even make their first attack. You can usually kill them right before they actually attack. I did that for several of them. But then and they had those little like amphibian dudes. I was like, okay, those are fine. They go down pretty easy. Then they had the ones that are disguised as bushes, the bush mimic things, and I didn't like them. Mostly because they jump a lot, and so I'm trying to hit them, and there's another one coming up from behind. I kept there was this one little culvert over to the side before you get down into like one of the bigger open areas, and I knew that there were 3 in there, but they don't really activate until you go in and you attack. And I had done that, and I killed them off the first time, and everything went down to the lower levels. I get to those big giant things, and I'm like, oh, okay, this is easy. I bet if I just go over to the side here, I can attack this statue, and I don't have to worry about the other one activating. I'll just go to this one and then go to the next one. Well, lo and behold, somewhere behind that statue, there were some bush dudes. And the bush dudes decided that it would be a great time to just attack me en masse while the statue's gearing up.
I'm very much confused as to where you are, because I'm thinking about that whole level, and I go, wait, what?
Yeah, it's like down when you get down the stairs, and there's like a big area with a couple statues, and off to the side there's like a ledge, like a ridge that goes down.
I'm literally running there now to figure out what you're talking about.
Yeah. It's like you're probably gonna run into it. But anyway, so while I'm trying to deal with these bush dudes that won't let off of me, the statue finally gets a hit in, and that's basically a death sentence.
Yeah, that's a death sentence.
That's basically it.
And that sounds like a wife. So I have to jump out.
Okay.
Best of luck on your interactive episode.
Thank you.
I thought I might as well jump in playing Dark Souls if I would do anything.
Fair enough. Fair enough. All right. We'll see you. All right. And then there was me. So, anyway, I did post the girlfriend reviews video right there in the comments for everyone. If you want to do that. Great series if you have not seen it. All right, so while we are waiting for everyone to pile in, I do want to make one announcement. If you have not listened to the most recent episode of Delve, the one that we did about Adventurers League, where we were talked to Alan Patrick from the Adventurers League. I believe his title is, let me look this here, one of the resource managers for D&D Adventurers League. He came on, he was very nice, he answered a ton of questions about AL for us, but he also gave us some links, so if you were not looking at the actual listing on DelveCast.com, you should definitely consider going over there, because we have a special bonus for Delvers. We have a link that will get you the intro adventure for season, I believe it's season 9. Okay. We'll get you that intro adventure for 50% off. That is actually good through January 1st. And then also, if you would like to get one of Alan's adventures for free, literally a free adventure, we have a link to that as well. And it is not part of season 9, but it is still valid for AL play. And he says that it includes some pre-gens and encourages DMs and players to explore the prison city of Walloon. So if you want to get a free adventure you can play that is actually AL legal, or if you want to jump into Adventures League and get a discount on the intro adventure that they're running right now, you can do that by jumping over to DelveCast.com and clicking on that page listing. And for anybody who happens to be in chat right now or seeing it, I am actually just going to make sure to link the most recent episode. There we go, up there in the chat. Okay, so I am not quite sure where Alex is. He was probably aware that we were doing this. Maybe he wasn't. I don't know. I try to let people know early. I know that James was like, maybe we'll be by in a little bit. But Alex, who knows? Alex is an elusive one. We never quite know where he's going to be or what he's going to do. However, good news, everybody, DC is here. Hello.
Hello.
Hey. thank you for joining us. You just missed Paul. Paul was here.
Oh,
Yeah, Paul was here and gone. He played Dark Souls for 10 minutes. So that's always fun. We got to hear him rage over that. So pretty much par for course. Um, and that's all good. But while I was waiting for everybody else, I know James wants to come in, but it's going to be a little bit later for him, and I'll send something
yeah,
off
he's
to.
solving a double homicide.
Yeah, I had to ask him about that. I don't know if that's a real thing, and if so, I am really concerned about his school. I don't know if that where is he in Canada and is this like Gotham City but in Canada? Cuz if it is, James, get out. You got to get out. That's actually how
Yeah,
you're supposed to you're supposed
then
to say get.
hire me as a consultant. I just watched all 22 seasons of Silent Witness, so I'm pretty good on the detective level.
This- I don't think I've ever watched Silent Witness.
Oh, it's a great show. It's about pathologists solving murders, and
Oh,
it started on the BBC in 1996 and still going today, and they're up to season
wow.
22. It took me like 3 months to get through it all.
Oh. Wow. That's a lot.
Yeah,
Yeah. That's the thing that I'm always worried about when I'm binge watching something. That there's going to be like, oh no, how many seasons is this before I have to? Uh, I always get scared. There's a point at which you say that there's just too many seasons for a thing that I don't want to start in. 22 seems like a limit for me. I might not jump in at that point. Like after,
22, fine, 23. Think
yeah,
about it.
yeah, 20. Yeah, there's that little jut. No, actually, I think it's probably 5 or 6 seasons. Like after that, I'm kind of like, yeah, I think I might have missed the mark, or I'm just gonna have to wait till the whole thing is over, and then I'll watch it. Um, cause
Well,
that's
being a BBC show, there's only 10 episodes or so per season.
oh, that's handy. That's
Yeah.
right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's like what happened with me in Breaking Bad. Is I think I finally watched it, but they were like going into their final season when I actually went to watch it. That and was it no Justified? I didn't watch until it was completely over, and I had the box set with the entire with the entire thing. I was like, this seems fun. I ended up buying the whole thing. Um, or no, I had watched it, and then I was like, oh, you know who would love this show? Dad. I'll buy it for him. He'll enjoy this. Great show. Oh my god, so much fun. Um. Anyway, I sent a message off to Alex because I figure that he checks out the Discord, but sometimes he doesn't get it unless you do direct messaging, and I keep forgetting that. Um, but I'll send that off. And while James is dealing with a double homicide, just making some brief announcements for everybody about those links that you can get from our website that are for Adventures League that Alan Patrick gave us. Great if you want a free adventure, or if you are interested in digging into the new one and you want a discount, you can get those at the link that are provided in the Discord, or just head on over there. And James has approached. A wild James appears.
Hello?
It's super powerful.
Whoa.
A wild James
You
appears.
guys hear me?
I can. You are kind of in a tunnel, but
Yeah.
that's okay. I'll take James in a tunnel. I'll take James on a plane. I'll take James in a train. I'll take I'll take I'll take green egg and ham and James all over the place. Um we have
Must be putting away the detective gear.
He's putting away all the detective gear after solving the double homicide. Okay, one question we have to ask before we actually get into actual stuff. When you said solving a double homicide, was there actually a double homicide?
Oh, no, not literally.
Oh.
So tonight was the murder mystery dinner at the Truman RPG Club,
Oh.
which that was a roller coaster.
Ooh, okay. You had me worried there for a minute. I was like, you're in Gotham City, but in Canada. I thought to myself, oh no, no. Okay. Feel a little bit better now. Feel a little bit better. Okay. Good times.
No one's dead.
No one's actually
It was
dead.
interesting.
Oh,
though.
okay. Good. Okay. Well, okay. We breathe a sigh of relief and we actually get into the we could get into the actual episode. So, as I said, I actually did have a specific question that I wanted to tackle before we get into talking about literally everything else.
Oh, fantastic.
Yes, it is. It's actually a tabletop related question and everything. I know, it's weird. A little while ago on Twitter, you may be familiar with a person by the name of James Introcaso, famous for Tabletop Babble and some other projects, works on D&D stuff himself. And he has a tendency to ask these very kind of open-ended questions about tabletop gaming and things that are basically there to be a little bit of a gateway for a bunch of other people to come in and share their opinions. And one of them really registered with me, and I was like, this would be a really interesting one to do on the show. I'm actually going to try to bring it up because I did end up contacting him directly to get a little bit more feedback on it. But I will give you what the question was, and we can dig into it from there. I just want to make sure that I actually get it up so that I can tell you what it actually says. Okay.
All right.
Okay, so this is the question. And I'm going to read it verbatim. All right.
Okay.
What are some sacred D&D rules, like alignment, ability scores, etc., that you think could use some updating? #RPG, #TRPG, #TTRPG. See, I was going to do verbatim. Now, so I was kind of like, yeah, that would be a really fun thing to actually go over because I have thoughts myself. But DC actually said, hey, you might think about actually contacting him if you want to ask him about some of his stuff. And so I was like, all right. And given that necessary push, I did ask him about it. And so I have his response because I basically asked him what he thought personally about that question. So, James Introcaso's response is as follows. Hey, Nathan. Thanks for reaching out. You're welcome. Can't wait to hear the show. By the way, James, this is that show. There's a lot I would change, starting with racial tropes and even just calling your ancestry race. Beyond the problematic things in D&D, I would likely get rid of ability scores in favor of just having mods. As an adventure designer, I would replace boxed text with something better. Pretty much everything I post on Twitter, I am happy to explore further. I had just asked him, what other questions he might want to talk about in more detail. But anyway, he sent that along, and so, by the way, thank you for responding back. That was really nice of you. And I do know that some people had similar questions about that, but I am going to pass it on to you guys. I'm going to start with the man who just completed a double homicide. James, since you just solved the murder mystery.
Oh no, I did not solve that.
Oh,
that was a.
Oh.
like I said, that was a roller coaster.
Okay.
It was interesting.
Okay.
But that's for after we get to this question. We can discuss that later.
Sure. So your thoughts, sacred D&D rules that you think need to be updated. What would you go with?
Well, first I'd like to say that I don't think racial tropes should necessarily go.
Okay.
I do agree that the terminology sucks royally.
Mm,
I don't think we should call it race.
mm.
I'm not sure what a better word for it would be, but
I've
it's not.
heard lineage thrown around, or something like that. I think species may have been something.
I like lineage
Yeah.
because then you can just chuck out things like half elf and half orc. And if you want to
true.
be a half elf or a half orc, you can take some stuff from the orc and you can take some stuff from the human.
Yeah.
And you're just like, boom, I'm a half orc.
Yeah.
But like, I think the problem is when we talk about race, we talk about race relations, which obviously is a really touchy subject.
Can
And
be. Yeah.
like, obviously, that word has a lot of bad connotations.
Right.
But
Right.
in terms of Dungeons and Dragons,
It
in terms of
doesn't.
Dungeons and Dragons, it
Yeah.
doesn't imply that. It has to do more with like
Mm,
your skills. And yes, there is absolutely a difference in the natural abilities of an elf compared to a human, compared to a dwarf, compared to a halfling, compared to a ogre, compared to an orc.
right.
That's something that we have seen expressed by fantasy authors, fantasy creators,
Mm,
time and time again.
mhm.
So I think to like just completely chuck that out the window is a
Right.
little bit of an extreme thing.
Yeah.
Now I will say,
Yeah. Yeah.
in terms of stuff that I would change, I like ability scores, honestly, like a physical numeric representation of your abilities.
Mm-hmm.
And I think to some degree it needs to be changed,
Yeah.
but I don't know how much.
Yeah. I think the thing that bothers people when it comes to your ability score and the modifier at the same time is that it doesn't feel like your ability score does much. Like you always end up just using the modifier.
Right, yeah. I think that's the main problem with it.
Yeah, if you actually did an overhaul, I would suggest going in the opposite direction and instead, like, make the actual number of your ability score have more meaning. Like,
yeah, that's what I would want to do.
yeah, like if I have a 17 instead of a 16, it's not going to change my modifier, but it could affect some other aspects. And you know, they do it a little bit, but not nearly to the degree that they probably could. So it would feel like maybe some of your, maybe not main abilities and stuff, but like could be a better focus on some stuff that your character can do. It just in general could be a little bit more focused on like what's your dex score, not your dex modifier. In terms of like where can I go, how stealthy am I?
You could almost have a system where you had to low below your ability score, like it was on a scale from 1 to 20, and as long as you're rolling below, I don't know how that would work with modifier, like
Right.
with like skills and stuff, but if you roll below your ability score, you succeed.
Yeah, I see what you're talking about. Okay. Yeah,
I think that would be better.
There is a possibility too. Actually, this is something that they could already implement. It would just mostly be house ruling it. But if you have an opposing roll, right? Like somebody wants to see if they can outmaneuver, like your DM comes in and has a character, and they're trying to outmaneuver you, or they're trying to get you into a strength contest. They roll a d20, and if they roll higher than your actual score, they succeed. But if they roll under your score, they fail.
Yeah, that would be good too, where your DC to do that thing is literally your ability score. I like
Yeah,
that.
yeah, because then you actually like I could see like if you have a 20 in a score, basically your opponent has to crit in order for that to work at all. But that I could see working just because it's already working on essentially your stats being somewhere between like 1 and 20. So it's already kind of built for a D20 implementation in some regard. Um,
Hmm.
I can see that being useful, but they don't necessarily even have to modify the rules for that. That's more of like just a thing people would decide to do
Hmm.
in their own games. Maybe that's something to consider. If you're out there listening to this, maybe that's something you can add in to make it actually mean something. It would actually make me start thinking about like maybe I need to have like like usually I would just dump my charisma stat or something if I don't need it. But maybe I should have some points in charisma if you're going to get me into like a conversational thing and my opponent is really smooth talking and it's going to be super easy for them to roll over my stat, you know? Uh,
Yeah,
that would actually make me rethink some things. Um, that's a thought.
it
Um,
would get rid of dump stats for sure. You
yeah,
would need to have at least a decent amount in everything, which would help
yeah,
balance, I think.
yeah. Because
'Cause
I know that when I want to build a character, I want to see if I can set the scores I don't need immediately the lowest I could possibly make them, and then set the things I want to actually do as high as I possibly can.
right,
Um,
and I do that too, but
yeah.
from a GM's perspective, which I
Mm,
do both. You absolutely hate it when players do that
mm,
because you end up with things that are just incredibly busted in both in like their good thing they're really good at their good things and they're
mm-hmm.
really bad at their bad things, so they're
Yeah.
really good at specific stuff.
Yeah.
So and then you always end up in those situations where you're not throwing that specific stuff at them
Mm-hmm.
and people are like get upset. So I
Yeah.
think that would help.
Yeah, I think that might actually help. And if you don't want to completely do like opposing roles all the time, that would absolutely be helpful as well. Um, Now, when it comes to like when it comes to like the whole lineage question, Alex had even talked a little bit about it at one point. Unfortunately, he's not really here, but he had been kicking around ideas about how you could actually do more of a lineage system rather than the one that we already have, and it would talk more about like who your parents are, and that would determine a lot of what you become. Sort of like what you were just mentioning, the idea
Right.
of
And
yeah,
then you could play with occupation as well, and
yeah,
it not just be about like your like, so you could be a elf that has a father who's a blacksmith, so maybe you're got a proficiency with warhammers or something.
oh yeah,
That would be really cool and something very different.
mm, yeah.
I'd like that.
Yeah, I think that's a little bit more of a decentralization of some of the character building stuff. And when I had mentioned this to a few people in some of the games that I was playing this week, something that they mentioned was that I think it was actually Lexi. Shout out to Lexi, by the way. That was mentioning the thing about she would be overhauling the idea of how did she put it? That in 5th edition, you don't have a lot of character customization every level. Like you pretty much like you get the new level and you just get stuff.
Hmm.
And being able to do far more customization in your skills, your abilities, and stuff like that, instead of just having it auto fill, essentially.
Hmm.
I know that Andy mentioned that too. A few of the pretty much everybody had mentioned that was one of the things that they didn't necessarily like about 5e over some of the other ones is not being able to really get into the customization aspects of your character as much, except at specific points. And so what we're talking about kind of is at the very beginning almost is really fleshing out more of what your character can and cannot do based on their lineage, who their parents were, what their background is, where they came from, what their parents did. Basically, their entire backstory being part and parcel of what their character is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I like that. The only problem I see with that is that a lot of players don't like to do that. Murder hobos,
Yeah.
great example.
Mhm.
A lot of players aren't into. I think that is one of the biggest problems with Dungeons and Dragons. And it's not a gaming problem.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if it's rules fixable,
Mm.
but it is very much a war game.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was designed with wargaming in mind. It's had wargaming as it's very directed toward that, and so even though it's not really technically a war game, it definitely plays like one.
Mm-hmm.
So there's so much emphasis on combat that, I mean, I don't know, people just don't like to roleplay as much.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's hard.
It is. The role-playing aspects of D&D really had to come into it later, because, chainmail. That's a
Yeah.
that's a whole thing into and of itself. But yeah, I mean, it was built around the tactic, which is the reason why the actual tactical systems in the game are the most complex.
And that's why it's so
Yeah.
the tactical part of it is so good, is it's designed to be tactical
Yep.
combat. And I steal from that so much when I'm running roll to dodge.
Yep.
But
Mm.
it's just fantastic. It is
Yeah.
a fantastic system for
Yeah.
combat, but not much else.
Yeah, yeah. There's not a, like, we've talked about it a little bit on the show at some intervals about how you could mechanically build storytelling, and it's tricky by comparison to the actual, like, I hit for this much damage, because those are numbers. Like, numbers are easy for games to figure out comparative to thoughts or words. There was an episode of Doctor Who during the Tennant years where he was dealing with the witches of the New Globe Theater or something, and he was talking about their technology versus our technology, and he was saying that, like, humans design their technology around numbers, and these creatures they developed technology around words. And so if you kind of think about it, a system built around words seems so very foreign compared to what we're used to.
Yeah.
And that's why storytelling, I think, is hard to implement mechanically into a system like that. But there is the possibility that some people would not want to do that. There's also the possibility, too, and this is the thing I think is going to be the harder part, is there are people who are going to find a way to break that system very, very quickly. Because anything in the abstract is going to be far, far easier to break. I want the character that's able to wield the best sword and the best shield and the best thing.
Yeah.
I'm gonna custom build my character so that it is specifically great at doing these three things, and then I'll work the backstory in later.
Right.
Yeah. So it's
I hate doing that, but I can see
Yeah.
why other people would enjoy doing that.
Yeah.
And I think that part of it just comes from your. So, like, the whole, I assume that you guys are familiar with the whole left brain, right brain thing, where some people are left brained and some people are right brained, and that affects how they see the world.
I
right?
have both.
That's been proven not to be
Well,
Not so
true.
much. Yeah.
Right. That's complete nonsense. But for my purposes, basically, people can approach the world from a very logical perspective, or they can approach it from a very emotional perspective, and then you have the whole gray scale in between.
Mm.
And I think how you approach D&D and what you're looking to get out of it depends on how you just approach the world in general.
Right.
I'm a very emotional person. I like to act. I'm a very creative person.
Right.
I approach D&D from a role-playing perspective.
Mhm.
And so when we get to combat, like, my favorite part of combat is describing what I'm doing in combat, and at the end I'm like, oh yeah, and I'm using this ability. That's not the cool part for me. it's not rolling dice. The cool part is like the actual story. But a lot of people come to D&D because they like the logic and the numbers and the tactical combat and all of
Mhm.
that, which is fine. You just have to find a way to balance the two, and it's not easy.
No.
Not remotely.
No, it certainly isn't. But yeah, okay, so stats and the lineage stuff, those would be, are those really the two main things that you'd want to revamp?
Stats, for sure, are one of the main things I'd want to revamp.
All
Just
right.
because, not specifically scores, but modifiers. I think modifiers is one of the biggest things I'd want to revamp in Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah.
Both in the form of ability modifiers and in the form of skill modifiers.
Hmm.
Um, Ability modifiers, because it's just so abstract.
Yeah.
It like you have this concrete number and you're like, oh, I can work with this. My character strength on a scale of 1 to 20 is an 18, and for
Mhm.
some reason that gives me a +4 bonus to do things. That doesn't make sense to me, which goes back to the thing about where you have the roll lower than this system. I feel like that makes more sense.
Yeah.
um
Yeah.
and then skills, to a degree, the same thing.
Hmm.
um I think that, so I think in Dungeons and Dragons, a lot of the skills are abstract, to a crazy degree, and how your ability scores and modifiers interact with your skills are kind of abstract, because like, or abstract in a very concrete sort of way, if that makes sense, because
Hmm.
you have intimidation checks which are based on your charisma, but if a buff guy walks into the room and confronts you, you're gonna be intimidated, right? Unless his
Yeah,
voice is just
there
like
there
screechy.
are rules in that which you can make that intimidation check using your strength modifier instead of your charisma
Oh,
modifier.
you
That's in
can.
fifth
Right,
edition.
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good
So that's
because
one thing.
yeah, that's good because
Yeah.
strength actually doesn't like modify most skills.
Yeah, it doesn't have a lot of skills it modifies.
Does
Another one
not.
I can think of is sleight of hand.
Yep.
That's typically a dexterity check, but
Hmm.
I am great with my fingers, but I am the clumsiest person you will ever meet. I trip over my own feet. I can't hardly keep my balance some days. I drop stuff, but
Yeah.
I am a fantastic like manipulator of anything below the first knuckle.
Sure. Sure.
Um,
Sure. Sure. Okay.
so
So, like charisma? Are you thinking
yes,
charisma? Okay.
I'm thinking charisma when it comes to sleight of hand. That's what my go-to. I
Yeah.
don't think dexterity.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
then like there's that wisdom and intelligence thing. Like it can go either way on some of those things.
Mm-hmm.
Medicine is wisdom, right? In Dungeons and Dragons.
Yes. Yeah.
But really, if you're a doctor, it's not wisdom. That's intelligence.
That would
That's
be
something you're trained
intelligence.
in.
Yeah. Yeah. I see that.
Um,
Yeah.
in converse, religion's the same way. You could use intelligence or wisdom for that. You can have a knowledge of religions, or you can be a wise, like religious person. Like I just feel like skills really struggle in that regard in
Yeah.
terms of their concreteness, and a lot of, especially how they're portrayed on the sheet. I think dungeon masters like struggle to separate ability scores from particular skills.
Okay. Yeah. The
And there's specific rules where you don't have to follow that. Like
Yeah,
it's in the
I
rule book that you can use whatever makes sense at the time.
right.
And this sounds to me like people are getting too hung up on this rule without fully looking into the system.
Hmm.
hmm. Yeah, I can see that. Uh Mostly I think mostly just because like for most people when they're like just do a deception check or whatever, uh you just default to whatever it says on your sheet.
Hmm.
But
Right. That's the problem.
I could definitely
Right.
see though where either the DM or the players were able to make a case that says, no, you could use a different stat. But it's not necessarily something that I've seen people usually do. in anything that I've ever played with D&D, or for any other system for that matter, it's usually like, well, this is assigned to this stat, so that's what we're gonna go with.
Right.
Doesn't mean you have to, but you know, that's the kind of thing. I always found that it was kind of sad that there really isn't any stats that mod to Constitution. If you look at it, Constitution actually doesn't have any skills associated with it, and you would think something would make sense for that. That there gotta be something like survival, maybe.
Athletics, maybe, or survival. Yeah. I don't think
Yeah.
survival makes a lot of sense as a wisdom check.
No,
I don't.
I don't like
Intelligence or constitution, maybe, but not wisdom.
Yeah. There's a lot of things that I could see if you were looking to just change what that stat was in the moment, especially. I could definitely get behind something like that. But the funny thing is, before DC even said that there were rules in the book, I wouldn't even known that. no one had
Yeah.
ever broached it really to me before. So
I always assumed that was a homebrew thing. I didn't know that was in the book. And I
Oh.
think that's one of the biggest problems with skills is that it's on the character sheet, so we just assume it's there.
Right.
And I don't know if if it's in the book, obviously the problem's not with the actual rules. It's the way the character sheet is structured.
Right. I think it has a lot to do with the fact that if you have something on a sheet and it's automatically generated, most people will probably just assume that that's the way it is and don't worry too much about it. But maybe if just people were more aware of that, would be handy. But yeah, apparently that's not so much a problem with the rules. But
I looked up the reference for anyone that's wondering. It's under Chapter 8, running the game, proficiency, skills, and the example is doing either a Constitution athletics check or a strength athletics check.
Oh, okay. Okay, so there is a Constitution alternative you can use for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really up to your judgment, but there is
Okay.
an example of the book that you
Oh.
can do that.
See,
Good.
that does not shock me at all. But the fact that it's not more specific on the character sheet, it does make it hard.
Or that it's not
I mean,
more
it makes it
widely
hard
known.
for some people.
Yeah, I'm just surprised that that's not more widely known, because really up until this moment, I have not heard anybody even mention that as something from the book. So there you go,
Personally-
folks. Mm.
Talking.
By the way, for this
Yeah.
whole conversation, I really should say opinions are my own and do not reflect
I
any
was
corporation that I represent in any way.
I was going to try and do that before you got there too. I was like, before I get to you, I was like noting that these opinions are your own, because I wanted to make sure we were clear. But
Yeah.
yeah, just in case.
Sorry, James. Go ahead.
Fine. Personally, going to skills, I'd like to dislink them from ability scores.
Okay.
Your stats.
Yeah.
Just because I think that way it does make things a touch more difficult on the DM, because then they're like, oh, you have to make this check with this skill. But I've seen that used in other systems, and it actually works very well.
Yep.
Hunter is a good example. I played a few sessions of that. What is it called? Oh, it's some fantasy, urban fantasy horror game. Super good. I don't remember what it's called.
One of
But that was
those.
its whole concept, is you had your stats and you had your skills, and you when the checks, the DM would call for a stat and a skill, and that's how you made the check.
Gotcha.
I would think I would prefer that. And then
Okay.
you would just level up your skills. And
Yeah.
speaking of which, I do not think skills should be tied to your class. I think that's something you should choose yourself.
Yeah. I know that you used to have a little bit more customization of like what your skills were, what skills you were good in. But I I was never.
'Cause I think skills are less of um I think skills are less of what are you good at, as in more of what are you trained in.
Hmm.
And so as you level up, to be able to level up your skills as
Yeah,
well. I think that
yep,
would help with character creation and character customization.
that'd be cool. That would be
Yeah.
cool. Yeah. It would be interesting to see a more uh defined focus on the skills in particular. Because they should be used more often, and they're especially used in more of the role playing aspects of the game, more than necessarily the combat. And so it really would be nice to see a bigger focus on that. But before I get to mine, I will turn it over to DC if he has anything to add, noting that all opinions are his own and not representative of any companies that he may work for, just for the record.
Who do you work for, DC?
So, we can talk about that later.
Yeah.
But right now, so going to rolling under the number, that was something in AD&D, Advanced Dungeons and Dragons.
Oh.
That was a part of it, I remember. And so when 3rd edition came out, and it's like, no, when you roll a high number, that should be exciting. And I was like, yeah. So I kind of don't want to go back to rolling under anything, but that's just me being old.
Well, that's why I was saying you have to get over the number. See, now you get high number. But I'm talking
Right.
I'm talking more about, like, that would be an opposing roll. Like that would be the DM trying to roll over your actual stat. Which means that your high number is good for you. Not rolling under. No, oh my god, if you had like a really high score and they had to
wouldn't
roll
that
underneath
suck?
it, and they had to roll underneath it, it's like, it doesn't matter anymore. I don't want to raise up my skills. It's going to be harder for me now.
I want a 1 in everything.
I want a 1.
There was part of the system. I don't remember exactly what. It probably had to do with THACO, and I've
Yep.
mostly expunged all that from my mind. But that where you had a rolling low was good, and then rolling high sometimes was good. And so 3rd edition comes along and they just said, no, rolling high. High numbers are cool to see, and we just want to do it that way. I'm like, yes.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah, I'm sure it was wrapped up in the whole THACO thing, which was just a confusing... it was a confusing
now I had a lot of fun in my AD&D game, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But I'm kind of glad to see that part go.
Right.
So, if you enjoy it, play it by all means.
I think it should be one or the other, but I don't know which one I'd prefer. I think rolling high is a bit more intuitive because we associate high things with good things.
Yeah.
But I think mechanically wise, I think rolling low makes more sense.
I'm...
So it's just hard to balance.
As far as the modifiers bit go,
Mm,
I would like. That's probably one of the things I would like to see different is you just get the +1, +2, +3, or the
Okay.
-1, whatever. Because
Sure.
negatives are super interesting, just as cool as positives can be.
yeah.
Especially for role playing your character.
Mhm.
And it depends on your game. If your table is comfortable with murder hoboing, then by all means find your joy in that.
Yeah.
But that's a discussion with your players. Anyway, but I think it would be easier just to do +1, +2, +3, and then maybe you have 2 little dots under the number, and when you level up, you can say the same thing instead of putting 2. Instead of adding a +1 to an ability, a +1 and a +1 at level 4 to an ability score, or a +2 to one ability score, you could
Yeah.
fill in a dot, fill in 2 dots. That number moves up 1 point,
Gotcha.
and then you get a way of, well, I have a 20, and I think just the bonuses would simplify things a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. I can see that. Yeah, it's kind of one or the other. For me, it's either you kind of get rid of the stat number entirely, or you make the stat number mean more, but it's gotta just not be just that number. it's there's got to be something else. It feels like was a common comment that I got back when I was talking to people about this. So it's not just us. Um, it's not just us.
Yeah, I mean the other problem is seeing the actual number, that 17, 18. That goes back. I mean, that's a legacy thing D&D has.
Yeah.
And they have to be careful with changing like that, because some fans might find that confusing for some reason or whatever, or just because it's different.
Yeah.
And so they really have to work to balance that out.
Yeah, that kind of goes into the whole thing where it's like, it's great you changing things and modernizing and modifying things to make them work better, but there's that other side where if you change things too much, it doesn't really feel like the system anymore. It doesn't really feel like the game.
For sure.
Which is why I really thought that the question was very interesting, since he specifically said, like, sacred D&D rules. Like, he was trying to get to specifically, like, these are the things D&D has always been. What should go? Like, that was kind of what intrigued me. And considering I don't even know, like, it was 100 or something people that responded back. Obviously, a lot of people have thoughts on that. But
and I suppose the one other thing. Sorry to interrupt again.
Yeah, go right ahead.
I'd like to see magic be a little more freeform.
Oh yes,
Just because
100%. That's one of the things I hate about Dungeons and Dragons. It's
just
the lack of
because
free magic.
I've been in systems where it's like, okay, you come up with it. Now I understand having spells, and I would still have those just so people can go, okay, I need a thing that does this. Oh, here's the written thing. That makes it easier. But if you want to come up with something off the top of your head, and have them kind of encourage that a little more with the system,
yeah,
that'd be good. Not that you can't, and
yeah,
like I said, you can homebrew something in that sense.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I'd like to see a little more free form with the spells.
Yeah.
Yeah, the only problem with that, and this is coming from someone who is creating a system that wants to work that way, is it can be hard to balance as a game master. Freeform magic can be.
It can be.
Even if the rules are written well, there's always the guy that finds the one exploit, and it can get busted so fast. So you have to be careful when you build systems like that it doesn't become too powerful.
Right.
It's a real balancing act.
Oh yeah, there's a couple systems out there that do this pretty well.
Yeah. It's not impossible. It's just tough.
Yeah.
It is really hard to figure out where that balance is.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I think you could do it.
Yeah. I'd like to see like custom like I can see like a custom spell thing, like signature spells, something for characters. Something
if
that
they were easier to make, I would do it. I would totally have signature spells.
Just narratively, I think that would make sense. Like maybe, like if magic is kind of this ethereal kind of thing that maybe people don't necessarily even understand so much. If you're not a magic user, I could see wizards and warlocks and all of them having like one thing that they kind of came up with on their own that they can do. And that would be like a signature ability for them, and that you could work that through. I think that there have been, and I'm not sure, but I think I've heard some people talk about how they developed those for different characters in their game. And I definitely would like to see more of that encouraged. I think for me, though, the thing that was kind of confusing was the very idea of like the spell slots. And I know that, like, Alex had done an article at one point. I might have to try and see if he can dig it back up, because he was just kind of throwing it out to a few different people, and I think he put it on Reddit about how you could do it as a conversion to a mana system, if you wanted to just do it that way.
Oh, yes, that makes so much more sense.
Yeah.
I would like to see that.
Yeah, I might see if he has it around, because I think he had put it out in like Reddit or something, but I don't think he ever put it out on the site, because he was trying to get feedback on it. And it was an interesting idea because it's like, yeah, mana kind of makes sense to me just because then maybe I do just want to do a lot of 1-level spells, or maybe I just want to throw off like 3 or 4 like high-level spells.
The mechanics are already exist in the game in the form of the monk's key pool. You just have to convert it.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, my monk basically can just do that anyway. But the key system, I will say, I love playing a monk, and I feel like people usually give the monk crap. But I will also tell you this: the monk is one of the most OP character classes out of the entire.
Oh my gosh, it's so good.
No one believes me, but it's.
I tried 2 weeks to convince. I developed a custom monk subclass that, rather than being based on wisdom, okay, so this is only going to make sense if I explain his way. It's the way of the boogie, because I wanted to play a disco monk, because that's the kind of session games I'm in right now. So I just wanted this. Yeah, it was fantastic. I just wanted this badass disco breakdancing monk that would just like punch people in the stomach while he was dancing. Eventually I found out that swashbuckling with a rogue is practically the same thing minus the bustedness. But we had it going for a while. We did like 3 different iterations from different people, just because the monk is so awesome. It is one of the best classes by far.
Yeah. If you've maxed out your wisdom and your dexterity with your monk, you have an AC of 20 unarmed. And by the time you get to that level, you can probably do evasion so that you don't have to worry about taking most spell damage.
Oh yeah.
You're already
and
immune
you'll
to
probably
disease.
Need that if you fight, pretty solid enemies at that level. That'll keep you alive.
Yeah.
Oh, this is a little thing, but I wish it was changed. I wish the monk's unarmed strike was a finesse attack.
Oh, a finesse attack?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because technically it's not, but it uses your dexterity.
It does use your dexterity, yeah.
In everything except name, it's finesse.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it can't get the rogue's sneak attack.
Ah, yeah.
So it is completely useless to multi-class as a rogue.
You know what?
Which
that
would be the
might have
coolest
been
thing ever.
That might have been by design, because if you literally just decided that you were a monk and then you took like 1 level in rogue and you could use your flurry of blows with backstab damage, you basically break the game.
It would be the sickest thing ever.
Oh, I'm like, bring that on. Play that in my game. I'll make it happen. I'll make it hurt and not hurt and make it be amazing. Do it. Come on. Yeah.
Come on. It'll be great. My hands are finesse weapons now. I'm dual classing with rogue. Okay, great. Oh my god.
If only if it was a specialty feat that monk rogue could take where their hands become finesse weapons. It would be the sickest thing ever.
You know,
I'd be so down for that.
I could kind of see this is something that actually might make a lot of like the monster classes better, because I could see turtles or Aarakocra or Tabaxi, anything with claws or talons or anything like that those are kind of like finesse weapons that are just natural weapons. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. I could get behind that. Yeah. Let me try. Let me try.
It'd be so much fun. I would totally play that.
How many ridiculous numbers of superpowered attacks can you give me? But that's the problem, is that if I just did my regular attacks and I did my flurry of blows, that's 4 unarmed attacks I can do. By the time I'm like level 5, 4 or 5, right? And so if all of those can take a backstab modifier in addition to that, that's a lot of damage. Like 1 monk rogue hybrid in that scenario could practically take out an enemy with like 100-something hit points by itself in a turn. You know, that's... Yeah. The monk's already pretty dangerous. I don't know. That would be tricky to justify. That'd be tricky to justify. But um,
Oh, I don't think I read, going back a bit, I don't think I read Alex's article yet. But
oh
I'd
yeah,
be curious to see how that compares to the, in the Dungeon Master's Guide, the variant spell point system and his mana
oh
system,
yeah. I would be
and how
interested in
those
that
two
too.
compare. But
Yeah.
Oh,
again,
it's
they could be.
Groove. That's what it's called. Way of the Groove.
Oh, Way of the
I
Groove. Yeah.
I have to. I'm gonna send you guys some of these things because some of them are just fucking hilarious. Pardon my French, but it is just so funny.
Yeah.
Let me
Um,
see.
yeah, I don't know how it measures up to the spell point system or if he's real familiar with it. He'd be great to have to answer these questions. The article that he did put out though wasn't about the mana system. That was something he had talked about. God, a year and change back, and it was something that he was kicking around, but he never actually did a
Oh,
formal
okay. So
article.
I'd have to go back to that.
Yeah. Well, you probably won't see it on. That's why I have to get him to dig it back out because he
Yeah.
never actually released it as like an article on our
Okay.
site. I think he had a Reddit like on our. Do we have like a specific Reddit for the show? I'd have to ask him. But he had thrown it out in like the tabletop Reddit articles and stuff, and wanted feedback on it, and sent it to some folks. But yeah, I kind of wish he would just go back over, finalize it, and we can release it as an article. And maybe we can bring up spell points at that point. Spell points at that point. The other the other thing that at least the one thing that I thought really needed to have some kind of a change was the alignment chart. This was actually the thing that I had mentioned back. Is for me that alignment chart is great for memes, but for me it has like no bearing on my character, and so I was like very confused as to like what it's supposed to mean, and I kind of didn't like it because it felt like the game was trying to roleplay my character for me, and I didn't necessarily know if I like that. I what
Yeah, to me, alignment now sort of represents the shades of gray you're comfortable with.
okay.
And if you kind of go outside that, if you do something clearly evil and you're not an evil character, I'll be like, yeah, wait a minute on that. You are this, you might want to,
Okay.
but otherwise, be who you want to be. But if you go too far in one extreme or another, then
Yeah.
I'll probably bring it up. But otherwise, just be your character, please.
Sure. Yeah.
Just use it to inform kind of that grayness around you, and don't be strict about it. Where other editions were kind of way more strict about alignment and stuff, and fifth edition's kind of opened that up
Yeah.
to be a little more nebulous, and I like that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I just put all the groove stuff if you guys want to look at it. In terms of alignment, I don't like the law chaos axis. I don't think that makes a lot of sense to me.
Okay.
The good evil one definitely should stay, I think, but law chaos doesn't make sense because, and this is going to require a little bit of explaining. I'm currently in a game where I am a golden druid, wildfire druid, dragonborn. He's
Okay.
super cool, but he comes from a group of nomads that believes that their ancestors, the very first dragons, are still alive in a catonic state and have become land formations. So like
Oh.
there are mountains that are actually just the enormous scales of dragons. And so their whole society is based on honor and respect and truth. Well, not really truth. But honor, respect, like comradeship, family.
Yeah.
So it's very close knit, tight. You have these close knit, tight like tribes of nomads that wander around in a general area, basically paying homage to this one dragon that they lived with, that
Mm-hmm.
they came from, that their descendants come from. And one of his thing is he's going out into the world and trying to find other tribes and learning about all their different stories because he wants to know all the stories of all the dragons in the world.
Right.
Um, so we recently got into a town in our game, and there's a dragonborn there, another golden dragonborn. I'm like, oh, that's cool. I'm gonna go talk to him. Turns out he's a moneylender, and he tries to scam me out of money that I don't, my people's money. Who, mind you, they've never come to a town before and never. We don't have a concept of money. We don't have a concept of like debt, or um, really any sort of non-shared personal possessions, like
Mm.
because we just don't have enough, so everything's just in a shared by a group.
Okay.
So he starts talking about these things, and like my character Decadent, he doesn't exactly what's going on, but he knows he's being like basically the guy's talking bullshit because he's talking about his tribe doing things that his tribe just doesn't understand, like that
Oh.
doesn't make sense to him or his people.
Yeah. Yeah.
So Decadent gets really offended. Um, like super offended.
Mm-hmm.
And remember, this is a wildfire druid,
Mm-hmm.
so he has a wildfire elemental who can burn
Yeah.
things down.
Mm-hmm.
So, um, I'll preface this. Supposedly, my character is chaotic neutral, but
Yeah.
I don't necessarily agree with that. That night, Decadent sends his wildfire elemental and starts a fire and burns that guy's place to the ground because he's furious. And that's just, but in his tribes, in his head, and from the view of his people, that is a lawful action because it is following with their moral code. If someone um, basically dumps on their people like that, they might as well just not be there.
Yeah.
So, from their point of view, like if you're a dragonborn and you do that, you can go die
Yeah.
because that is a disgrace to you, your family, your people, everybody. That is just the worst possible thing you can do. Also burned a city down, which is not appropriate in this new society. So in Decadent's head, he's lawful, but everyone else sees him as chaotic.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that lawful versus chaotic thing is not necessarily accurate,
Mm-hmm.
personally,
Mm-hmm.
because you get to the point where it stops being like your personal morals and it starts being more of a clash of different societies and different customs that start to develop this um, law versus chaos thing.
Oh, okay.
And so, and then there's another example, orcs
Mm-hmm.
are considered chaotic creatures, but they have a hierarchy. They, um, or they can have a hierarchy. They have customs. They have a way of life.
Mm.
So to say that they're necessarily chaotic creatures, I think that's just an excuse to call something evil without an act evil without actually calling it evil most of the time,
Yeah.
or saying it's not for the benefit of everybody.
Right. Right.
Right. So
I.
I don't think chaotic works
Yeah.
and lawful works. I don't think it makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, lawful as a concept, I kind of understand you want to follow the law, I guess, but
Right.
But chaotic, I guess, is a little bit confusing only because it sounds like I don't have any kind of strategy or motivation. I just kind of do things randomly. And if that's the case, I don't really know if it matters if you're a good guy or a bad guy. You're just, like, kind of just plowing through like a bull in a china shop at that point and just hoping that the
Right.
pieces fall where you want them to.
And I think the word chaotic is the hang up here because if you look at it in the player's handbook, it isn't just, oh, I do whatever I want willy nilly all the time.
Mm.
That's not exactly true.
Hmm.
But again, to me, that what you were talking about, James, and that your culture, this is a different thing. I think that makes interesting role playing, where some people see that as a bad thing, but to you it was the right action, and
Right.
that makes an interesting social interaction within your alignments, if you will, that kind of expanded, stretchy, nebulous
Yeah.
gray area we can play in.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
Because I definitely think there are good actions and evil actions.
Oh yeah.
But I don't know if lawful and chaos is necessarily a good applicable thing all the time. Honestly, I almost wish there was a third axis.
Yeah. Well, I
I
mean,
wish I don't know.
it's neutral, but neutral is kind of yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I mean
I
that's
think my character is true neutral, which I guess means I think I was like, I'll be true neutral. I don't have to worry too much about my alignment now. 'Cause-
people play chaotic neutral when they should be playing true neutral. True neutral is doing whatever you want and not worrying about the consequences. Really.
yeah, my concept was that true neutral is pretty much in the moment. This is what I think I have to do, so I'm gonna
Right.
go and do that, and so that made sense to me.
Right.
It's sort of like if it was more of a quota, like, oh, there's somebody who's in trouble over there. No, you've done too many good things. You have to try and balance this out. I'd be like, wait, no, because this feels like nope, sorry. You got your good boy quota for the day. You got to get your bad boy quota in now.
Right.
It's like no,
It-
and I don't know. Like I would even say that even if you're an evil character, if your character feels like there's an actual reason why they'd have to do something that might be considered good, I don't really
Right.
know if I'd want to stop them from it, because maybe they have a long-term goal that they think this is going to deal with, like
That's true.
it's possible. Like technically, I saved the prince from the bandits. That's technically the good thing to do. But maybe if you're an evil character, you want to do it because then the prince owes you a favor, and you need you need that so that you can get an audience with the king. And there's a lot of reasons why you might end up doing that. You might not just like say, hey, screw it, I'm the bad guy, so I guess he dies now. like I think that there's but that kind of goes more into the chaotic lawful thing too. Like a lawful character would be like, okay, I can work inside the system. A chaotic one doesn't. But
Yeah.
I was looking at, I just looked up alignment in the player's handbook, and this is what, again, I constantly get surprised by little things in these books that my mind skips over.
yeah.
So in the first paragraph of alignment, second sentence, alignment is a combination of two factors. One identifies morality, good, evil, or neutral, and the other describes attitudes towards society and order, lawful, chaotic, or neutral.
Oh, okay. I can see that.
And see, Decadent doesn't have any problem with society and law order.
Right.
The problem is that his society and law his order are so much different than everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard to justify. I'll be honest. It was tough to justify burning down this guy's house out of character and also hurting the people in the slum. So things catch, people get hurt, people die.
Right.
So, but that's not something Decadent. He just did that because he felt it was. He felt he had to do it to protect the honor, and so.
Yeah, see, to me that'd be fun to play with the results of doing that in a society of, unintended consequences to you, but that matters to that society, and then bring that into the game. And that's kind of also neat about that we can talk about these things, and you can talk about with that your DM and sort of define where you are on these things, and you say yes, no, and constantly have that open conversation and communication with things like an alignment, because that can change the flow of a lot of things.
Yeah. I would be interested to see a way that your character could adjust alignments. based on the actions that they take. Because sometimes I feel like when you start a character, especially when you start at like level 1, you say, okay, this is the alignment that you have. And as time goes on, you start to wonder if that's really the character you're playing. And
Right.
and maybe you're supposed to be like you're a paladin and you're lawful good and that's what you do, but now you're kind of questioning if the society around you is really that great at all, and you're still following the ways of the paladin order, but you don't really know if you like how society's running, and there's a lot more gray area out here than I originally thought, and I don't really know if this is who I am anymore.
We have a mystic in our party who's lawful neutral, or claims to be, but everyone
yeah.
at the table is now convinced he is lawful good after he gave 70 good berries to a woman, a healer in the slums,
Oh.
and basically was like I don't even know how to describe it. It was the strangest thing from a lawful neutral character I've ever seen.
Yeah.
It was weird.
Yeah.
But he was like that one guy who gives you a hug on your worst day just because he can.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
so funny. It was so funny. And we were constantly like, you're lawful good, and he's constantly denying. He's like, no, I'm lawful. No,
Yeah.
this is lawful good behavior.
Yeah.
It was amusing.
Right. Yeah. No. I figured that like a true neutral character like Rembrandt is good because he's sort of a freeform character anyway, and if you're just a giant shadow monk turtle, chances are you're just gonna go and do what you wanted to anyway, and you don't necessarily really have any particular feelings one way or another about morality or about society or civilization. You're just kind of in the moment all the time, and so that's kind of what true neutral was for me. But more in general, I kind of would have liked to see that your alignment has maybe something more mechanically substantive too. Like maybe it actually does.
It affects some magic, but that's about it.
Yeah. I've never played like a spellcaster, so I don't know. But yeah,
It's mostly detect good and detect evil, detect lawful, detect chaos.
Yeah.
Stuff.
Yeah.
And then what you can attune to.
Yeah.
But yeah, it doesn't play a big enough role.
Right.
And then if you just have a party of murder hobos, everyone just defaults to chaotic neutral. And then
Well,
murders everything.
Yeah. I think that is something strange, and maybe this is the reason why I find it strange, because like we were talking about a little earlier, the idea that D&D is based on really a combat system. It's based on a tactical system. The idea of your moral alignment inside of that feels a little bit like the game trying to find some sort of mechanical thing to justify your player actions.
Yeah.
But since it's so much of a tactical game, I don't know if that necessarily, like, well, you went into a town and there were a bunch of people that were raiding the town, so you got to do something about that. And at that point, your alignment kind of goes out the door anyway, because your part, like, it doesn't really matter if one of your characters is chaotic neutral and another one is lawful good. You're all gonna be fighting the thing, so it's like, even if you have like an evil character in your party, it's like, well, you're all fighting, right? Like, there's not gonna be like a couple on the sidelines kind of going, I'm finding this morally questionable, I'm gonna sit this one out. Like, that's a rarity to see, where one of your party members is like, no, I'm not going along with it. I've had my fair share of times where my character would have preferred to not get into a conflict, but then the rest of the party does, and he was like, all right, I guess we're lighting this candle. And he's just, I guess we're doing it. It's time to shadow step onto the back of a Shadowfell dragon again. Here we go.
Oh boy.
Yeah. He's like,
hello.
Oh yeah,
that was so loud.
Oh hey.
Sorry, I'm in a good.
Hi, Alex.
Hello, friends. I see Discord is finally.
Yes.
Yes.
Discord's back.
Oh,
Uh,
it's been interesting, Alex. We've discussed Wave the Groove Monks and why alignment is interesting.
By the way,
And
on the way of the groove, I really love the killer moves. What punch,
Mm.
swagger shield, razzle dazzle. Those are fantastic.
oh yeah, those are that one's not mine. That one is my game master's, which I'm looking at multi-classing into this one because it is so fucking cool. The other two are mine and my brother's. Way of the Groove, James obviously being mine. If you haven't looked at some of those,
Mm.
it's not what I wanted to do. Um, downloads. I think we had Saturday Night Fever, which was literally the wild magic effect from the barbarian slapped onto the monk. So funny.
Mm.
This one was my brother's, and your entourage appears. You conjure 1d4 intangible spirits that look like flumps and afros in unoccupied spaces within 30 feet of you. Every time I imagine a frump and an afro, I just die. It is.
That's pretty great.
I don't know where he.
Th-
Yeah, it's pretty funny.
Time for fan art. Um,
I wish that was my idea and not someone else's because it's just funny.
yeah.
And that was the point of this character in the first place. So to have this ridiculous thing
Yeah.
just cracks me up.
Anyway, Alex, hey, how's it going?
Hi.
Hey,
How are you?
good, good. You're up, kinda.
I've been up.
Oh, you
I
have
just,
been.
haven't been on my computer.
Oh, okay. Yeah, the computer is a dangerous place.
I had a friend over. We were decorating my hallway with Christmas lights.
Oh, yeah, that's coming
Oh,
up,
fun
isn't it?
times!
Yeah.
I mean,
Love Christmas.
I'll upload a picture since Discord is. Oh god, I rearranged my things.
You rearranged.
I
all of it.
rearranged my my apps on my thing, so like
Okay.
they're on weird locations. I'll throw up a picture of my hallway now, or at
Mm,
least how bright my hallway is now.
mm. Oh, I should ask you, Alex. Oh
Wow.
my
it is
God.
Also, the hole in the wall right there is actually just a hole in the wallpaper from when there was water leaking down.
Oh, that's
a
no
few
fun.
years ago.
Oh, okay.
I'll actually take a picture of the lights though. I can reach this from here.
This looks like a scene out of like Close Encounters, doesn't it? It kind of has that like glow, like, oh, honey, there's another alien spaceship outside the door. Can you get that? No, sorry, those are just Jehovah's Witnesses. They want to ask
So
us
we
questions.
draped these. So we draped these.
Oh wow, okay.
Net lights. There's two of them. There's 6x4, and there's two of them because the wall is 8x7.
Oh, those are gorgeous.
So
That's
the entire
cool.
hallway, and they twinkle, but not like excessively.
That's
Oh, wow.
fun.
So we did that. My friend came over after putting together a futon, and we did that because fun.
For
That's
those
a
listening
great
to
way
the
to
audio version, we're looking at Alex's Christmas lights, and they are beautiful.
Yeah.
They are gorgeous white and blue net lights.
Yeah, they're really pretty. I wish I had those in my room.
Yes. I made my friend do most of the work, which is great because she is like 2 inches shorter than me. I was like, all right, I guess you can use the thumbtacks. I'll just hold these up while you put the thumbtacks in.
Oh, your poor friend.
Oh my goodness. Yes, blue and white works. Your hallway does look like it's being invaded by creatures from outer space, though. Like
It is
like
It
a
is being invaded by creatures from outer space.
a
It's very
saucer.
bright now in the hallway.
Yeah.
And it's great because there were no lights in there before.
Oh, okay. You can
So-
actually see.
So now, like, so now, like, if Nikolai gets up in the middle of the night because he has to go to the bathroom, he
Oh,
doesn't have to worry about being scared because
Well-
there's just this bright blue glow emanating from the hallway.
well, maybe you keep them up after Christmas then.
I actually probably will because why would I want to take him down?
Yeah.
They're really nice. Yeah, that's kind of an all winter type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And hey, you know what? Come summer, just get warmer colors. Just
Yeah.
replace them with like
I mean that. replace all the bulbs?
Well, no, you'd have to get a different net light. You'd
I'm
have-
not- I
You
don't
could
think
get
I'm
one of
gonna
those some of those fancy lights where they change color.
Oh,
with
the
logo.
LEDs.
Yeah,
Oh.
that would be cool.
Be like living in a kaleidoscope. That would be
Yeah.
great. We need
I
that.
thought you were gonna say living in America at the end of the millennium.
Living in kaleidoscopes. So, so anyway, Alex, I don't know if you're aware, we've been discussing our main topic of the night, based on a question that James Intricasso had asked us. And then I was mentioning some of the things that you had talked to me about, but I don't remember them very well, so...
Oh, okay. I don't remember them either because you haven't made that clear yet.
Oh, okay. No, what we were talking about was what are some sacred D&D rules that you think could use some updating?
Sacred D&D rules?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, if we're talking about sacred D&D rules, I mean, I think the cleric could use some up.
Yeah.
I think the clerics already have enough up. They get domains and no one else gets domains.
Yeah, I was kidding. That was a pun.
Oh, it didn't sound like sarcasm.
But
Um,
what that entails is basically like D&D rules that are kind of the rules that you've always been accustomed to, but which ones really need to have some overhaul.
Is that why we talked about alignment?
That's why we were talking about alignment, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, because that was my thing, is that alignment was always a little bit confusing for me. It didn't feel like it really added much to the game. So I was thinking that could probably use some kind of an update, or maybe it's just kind of in the background somewhere where it doesn't really mean anything. I don't usually go to it to determine what my character is going to do. So... But then, see, one of the things that I had mentioned was that I kind of didn't like spell slots so much, and I remembered that you once had done a whole thing where you were talking about a mana conversion.
Oh yeah, I have that somewhere. A conversion for the... See, it's not the spell slots I don't like. It's the spells per day aspect that I didn't like.
Oh.
And it's because for a lot of the magic classes, at least pre 5th ed, it was you have this many spell slots and then you have to take a long rest.
It still is that way for a lot of them.
Well, some of them get refreshers on a short rest now too.
Yeah, some of them do.
Like the
But-
warlock, for instance, only has a couple spell slots anyways, but they get them refreshed on a short rest. And I think the sorcerer can do that with some things as well. And I
Right.
think the wizard might get a couple things. I don't remember. I haven't played a wizard in 5e.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Wizard does get a couple things back on a short rest.
So
Druids
like
do not.
they get their wild shapes back, and I'm
Yeah.
not sure what they get back if they're the Circle of Land Druid, but they
Monks
wild
get
shape.
everything back. That's
But-
why I love monks.
So I think that is really good for 5e, but the spell slots, the spells per day thing is definitely archaic now because it's just the having to rest for 8 hours or else your spellcasters are useless kind of deal.
Yeah. Yeah.
That one was one that I thought needed to go away, which is why I made that conversion for mana.
Right. Right.
Because then you just be like, oh, cool. So we've got this kind of mana system where you can use spells as long as you have the mana to use them.
Yeah.
But you still have to know the spells. So,
Right. Right.
well, you still have to know them.
Yeah.
Right.
You may have to dig that out because I think a couple people want to see what you were working on. If you still have it around.
Oh, you want to see it?
Some people may. I get the feeling some people may want to.
I was
Which are
interested
some-
in how it compares to the optional rule in the player's handbook of spell points.
I don't know if I knew the spell points.
Haha. See, we learn something new every day.
I think I did. I just don't think I really looked at it. Oh, where's my Google Docs stuff? Is it in Google Docs? Where's my drive?
There was that, and then the other thing that we were talking about, James mentioned something kind of similar to what you had talked about once upon a time where it came to lineage. He was mentioning
Yeah.
something about like your parents and that being kind of a replacement for race in the game. And
Yeah, I
Okay,
think
yeah.
I like that much better.
yeah, I remember you
Yeah,
had
I have
something.
had an idea for bloodlines where you'd select your parents' races and their attributes that you derived from.
Yeah, yeah.
It would definitely encourage more role playing, which I don't ever think is a bad idea.
Well, more
I
role
always
playing
like
in
more role-
character creation too. Like
Yeah.
specifically in actually building your character out. That's something that I really would like to see more encouraged. Specifically now, and I think this is the best time to do it for D&D 2 because since there is definitely a larger push for like kind of the theatrical and the role playing part of it, where more people want to do that, I think that it's a good time to actually try and implement that more, even when you're starting your character and trying to put more of that in at the start. Probably better than ever. To actually implement stuff like that.
Speaking
Yeah,
of races,
Oh,
have
go
you
ahead.
guys seen? Oh no, this is not important. If you have something to say, DC, you go ahead, but I can wait.
Oh, I was just going to mention that. Yeah, I tried to mention what it looks like when that particular character casts a spell more often
Yes.
than not, and I find that really fun to do. Like, sure, I can cast color spray, but how do I do it? What are this character's maneuvers in
Yeah.
order to?
Well, yeah. Every character doesn't have to cast Fireball the same way.
Yeah, they do. Also, I found my the thing I'd written up on the mana conversions thing. If you want to
Your,
check it out.
your reason to convert to mana is fantastic because most of the time players are complaining about needing to take a rest because they don't have spell slots. That's typically the reason you have players complaining that we need to take another long rest in this dungeon for the 15th time,
Yes.
which drives me crazy.
Yeah.
I don't remember. This was a while ago that I wrote this, so it's like I haven't looked at it. I just found it, so it's like I haven't looked at it forever.
Yeah. Well, see, the funny thing is, I remembered it.
I remembered it. I just hadn't really touched it,
Yeah.
As with most things.
I know. Usually, you have like a brainstorm and you write something down about it, and then it kind of like goes in a file, and we never see it again for a
Yeah.
very long time.
That's about what happens with me.
I guess I would ask though, Alex. Besides like the stuff that we were just mentioning, are there any kind of like rules in D&D you'd want to see have an overhaul
man,
or
I
a
don't-
change?
I don't even know.
Mm,
I have no idea.
yeah. I mean, things that we had already mentioned, like we had talked about alignment, we had talked about stats, and the modifiers and stats, and how that all works. Whether you need the stats in general, or if you just need the modifiers, or if the stats should actually mean more, or functionally do more. So we had talked about that too.
Oh yeah.
Yep. We were talking about this is something I came up with, Alex. Although now I'm starting to wonder if I actually came up with it or if it was just an old rule that was from an older version of D&D they don't do anymore. But the idea that you could probably justify doing. James went away. Oh no. Maybe that double homicide came back to get him. He's. Oh, James.
Sorry, I closed the wrong thing by mistake.
I thought that the double homicide came back and made it a triple homicide, and I got worried.
Nope,
No.
I'm still here.
Oh, okay. And anyway, Alex, I was thinking about like if you wanted to make your actual stats have more meaning in your game, and this could be just a house roll thing. If your DM needs to make an opposing roll against like one of your stats, trying to actually get a number higher than what your stat is. So like if you're in a strength test, your DM could roll, and if the number on their d20 is higher than what your strength score is, they succeed, and if it's under, they fail.
I mean, the issue with that is that your score, typically if you're a strength-based character, is going to be like 15 to 20. So,
That's true. I'm not saying it's
um,
going to be easy.
you'd have to either
It's
have
not going
your
to be
DM
easy.
have a modifier somehow, or you'd just be a high roll.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
Otherwise,
Maybe.
straight D20 versus like a 15 plus is not favorable.
Right. Well, I mean, it could be essentially it could be your challenge, like your DC, right?
Well,
Like,
yeah. Again,
yeah.
those aren't usually straight D20 rolls. So, however,
No, those are modified, but like the DC could be set by what your stat is against you.
I
Like,
suppose.
like if you have a Constitution of like 16 or 17, it could theoretically be like a DC 17 in order for it to be like a save against your Constitution or something like that. That would be
Yeah.
possible. I'm just trying to figure out like ways that the actual stat itself could mean more than just being the number you try to get to so that your modifier is higher.
So the question there is what do you want them to mean?
Yeah. I either like what I was talking about, like that the actual number itself actually has some kind of functionality for tests or contests or something like that, or that it actually affects something on your character. Like strength already sort of has this where it determines like your carrying capacity, but a
But no
lot
one
of the
plays with
others-
carrying capacity.
I
That's the
mean,
thing.
you only do in like a survival setting, typically.
Yeah.
Or if you just really.
Or if
really
you have like a really high
anal
strength and you
retentive.
want to just carry everything.
Or if you just want to yeet elephants across the room, yeah.
Yeah, you could do that too.
I will say that it does come in handy when you're calculating for jump spells.
True.
Oh.
You need it in those cases as well. Here's one thing, Nathan, with the fact that I just reposted the reasons to have mana conversion. There would be a reason to have your intellect, charisma, or wisdom
Okay.
stat to be higher with that. And with the mana conversion, I had actually planned on making a stamina type system, so that would actually tie into your strength and or dex and or con.
Yeah. Your constitution would then mean something too. Yeah, I guess I think that it would be just kind of handy to make the actual stats mean something measurable. Instead of like what they're used for right now is basically, I get it high enough so that my modifier is good because I need my modifier.
Clearly, we just convert things to mana and stamina, and then we have our stats based on that.
There you go.
Our stats feed into that. There you go.
I-
Because then your physical attacks and your running and stuff will cost a slight amount of stamina, and or spells will cost mana.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah. I mean, your con already pretty much determines what your health is. So.
I mean, yes. I mean, that's kind of like the old physical scores and whatnot. Like,
Yeah.
what's it? Your attractiveness score.
Yeah.
Your charisma.
Your
That's
charisma
what-
is your
attractiveness. It was a different thing, and it wasn't really a stat. It was, I think, just like a derived stat that people would use. Like, how attractive is your character is based on like the average of your physical stats and your charisma or something like that. I don't remember exactly.
Mm-hmm. That's an
That's odd.
interesting. I don't know how they would. How did they utilize that, like in practice?
It was different from your charisma because charisma is force of personality. So it's like how
Gotcha.
good looking you are.
Oh, okay.
So you're telling me that a disco monk would have an attractiveness stat of 20?
There's. No, it would have an
Obviously.
attractiveness score of 3,000. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, obviously.
Obviously. Basically, just John Travolta with a bow staff. I mean, come on. It's
Yeah.
on, baby. It's just
Disco
the
never left.
No, it's just
Disco never dies.
no, it just got key energy. That's all that happened. Staying alive, staying alive.
Don't monks have that thing where they can't? They have an incorruptible body.
Yeah,
There you
yeah,
go.
Diamond
Is it?
Soul.
I forget what it's called. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's
Div-
Diamond Soul.
Diamond Soul. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's staying alive now. It's the Bee Gees.
Well, the thing is though, monks
Ah.
have so much that's keep them staying alive. It's especially like at higher levels, it's very hard to damage monks. It's very difficult. Not only
They
is
are
there
like
none-
they're tanks, pretty much.
I
Yeah.
mean, this is why you cross-class monk and barbarian.
Or monk and rogue.
Or
Monk and rogue would be really
I
good.
mean, the damage reduction from barbarian plus the rage ability from barbarian.
Oh, that's true. That's handy.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Then
Plus,
yes, really.
barbarians get those extra attacks that monks don't really get.
Monks get flurry blows. You don't get to combine flurry with extra attacks, unfortunately. I don't think.
Well,
But
a
you
monk,
get if you.
a monk will get two attacks at level 5, which is usually what
Yeah,
like
but-
barbarians and fighters also get. But
Ah.
fighters then also get a 3rd and a 4th attack when they get higher levels
Well,
too.
again, monks get flurry of blows.
Yep.
That's true.
Which means that
Which is how many
actually,
attacks?
it's 2 unarmed attacks as your bonus action.
But you got to spend key for it.
1 key, which I
That's to
can
balance it.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true.
But honestly, 1 key is nothing, and on a short rest, they all come back.
I would like
So-
to see a monk subclass where you start manipulating other people's key, like that. You guys probably have not watched
Oh.
The Last Airbender.
Yes, I have.
A monk
Oh,
catfish.
Thank goodness.
But
Yeah,
you mean the
I
movie
think
or the
so.
anime?
The anime.
By anime, I mean Nickelodeon cartoon.
Yes, I haven't watched that much of it, but I do know that there is one of the characters that when they hit you, they can disrupt your key and then you can't bend or something like that. I would like to see that for a monk, where they can hit you and they just disable all of your abilities. That would be really cool.
That'd be terrifying.
That's Quivering Palm does that.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I
isn't
thought
it-
Quivering Palm just dealt like it set up a vibration in your body. You can
Oh,
end
wait,
it to
no,
deal
I'm
damage.
thinking-
But
Which
if
is
you
the other one?
release it, if you release that
Which
energy,
is the other one? I'm sorry, it's a stunning fist. There you go.
Ah,
Oh.
okay,
yeah.
that disrupts everything because you can't do anything when you're stunned.
that's true.
Quivering palm is way of open hand. That's what I was looking at.
You know what?
Um,
I'm the way of the Kali Ma.
Yeah, well, hey, that worked out real well. No, the way of the quivering palm part is that like making those small imperceptible vibrations, and then you have the option to release them.
Right, and
Yeah.
then if you do it,
Takes a
if they
lot of
don't
damage.
make their con save, it just kills them pretty much. Yeah.
It's 10d10 necrotic damage.
Oh yeah, it's crazy. So if you want to be an assassin, you just walk up and you're like,
Yep.
"Hey, bud," and you just like
Yeah.
shake someone's hand and secretly use your quivering palm into their hand. They're like, "Hey,"
Well,
and they walk over and they just start.
I,
bleeding
I
out,
should
like, "Die."
I should actually this is the conceit. If they succeed on a Constitution saving throw, they take 10d10 necrotic damage. If they fail, they go to 0 hit points immediately.
Yeah,
So
Straight up kill.
yeah, so not good.
it's bad.
It's bad.
Quivering palm is amazing.
And
It's
literally,
one of the best abilities.
do you know how much you have to spend for that? 3 key points
Oh, it's so cheap.
at 17th level.
So good.
At
Can't
17th
you only use it
level,
like once a day?
You only have access to one at a time.
you can do it
If you
one at a
start
time.
up another one, the previous one immediately ends
Yeah.
with no effect.
But
Well, yeah,
But you
can't
can end it as a bonus action. So you can use it and then end it. And you're just like, boom,
Yeah.
you're dead.
you can
It's busted.
yeah, you can choose to end it harmlessly without using an action. But yeah, you can use an action to release
Actually, if you really want to have fun with a monk with a quivering palm,
it. Mm.
is you need to use it as a coercion mechanism.
Oh yes,
Blackmail.
yeah. You
Not
start
blackmail,
no,
coercion.
you
Get
start
people
it
to do your bidding.
or no as an interrogation process.
No,
you start it.
Not even.
and
It's
then-
like I need you to go kill this person for me, so that I'm not indicted.
Oh yeah. There's something. That's
Oh, yeah, you have 24 hours to kill this person.
And if
because
you
they
don't, I'll
accept-
kill you.
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And if you do, then I'll release you without killing you. And you can
Yeah.
always just lie and kill them anyways.
Yeah.
I'm not setting up an evil monk at all.
Or you can do the other thing where some guy got hit with a monk and he knows he is quivering palm up,
Yeah.
and he's like, "My time is limited. You have to kill this guy before I die." You're
Mm-hmm.
like, "Okay, we'll
Yeah.
go deal with it." And you have like a timed.
Mm.
I mean, yeah, essentially you can just be like, yeah, so you're going to do this or you're dead.
Right.
Monks are cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to do a Sun Soul Monk. That's the next one
I
wanna
think
do.
they actually do need to change some paladin stuff.
Yeah.
And not in the way that paladins are OP or underpowered or anything like that. I think they need to write it in there that the paladin, what is it? They need to like people go, all right, you're a warrior of your god kind of deal,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't think the way it's written, people are like, oh well, I'm lawful good or lawful evil. I don't know if I can't remember what 5e has, but it's
They
like
have lawful
paladins
and
are lawful.
Yeah.
Is
Right.
kind of the deal.
Yep.
But like the way I've always done it is that
They're
paladins are lawful.
supposed to be lawful. They're not always.
Well, here's the thing: they're not necessarily always lawful good either. And my deal with paladins is that you're a warrior of your god, so you should be following your deity's tenets, no matter what they are. You're a warrior of that deity.
Mm.
Well, what
So-
happens if your deity's chaotic?
Then you should be lawful to the deity's code of conduct. Like that is your code of conduct. If it means it's
Mhm.
chaos, then you are chaotic.
Yeah.
But I would call that.
See, this is my problem with the alignment system.
There's the thing. Hold on,
It's-
James. There is such thing as lawful chaotic in the fact that like the Drow city of Menzo Branzan, it is completely chaotic evil, but its system is regulated sort of in the way that this chaos has order to it. So there is chaos that exists within order, and there is order that exists within a certain type of chaos.
Mm.
Paladin of a chaotic deity, your paladin set of laws will be the deity's set of tenets. So, like, if your deity says, yeah, you like to burn things down and cause strife, then your paladin would go, yeah, that's my deal. I burn things down and cause strife. That is what my god likes, therefore, that is what I am going to do. So, being lawful to a chaotic deity is not a problem to me because you're still just obeying that god's tenets and what their dogma is.
One, isn't that just a glorified warlock?
No, because you don't usually talk to your gods as a paladin as much as a warlock would potentially talk to their
Oh, okay.
you know.
So a paladin is more like
A warrior
a
of
crusader,
Yeah.
where a warlock is more like his buddy.
I
Like
know,
the deities, not buddy, but
usually the warlock patrons are like devils or demons and stuff that aren't necessarily good.
like no.
And
Um,
with warlocks, aren't you kind of
Clint-
like
Clint
servants
Eastwood. Clint
of
Eastwood
that?
is
Like
one.
you have to be, like you like.
Warlocks, you make a deal with entity. It could be a fey creature, it could be a demon, it could be a devil. There's all sorts
Okay.
of things.
Yeah.
that could
Cowboys.
be.
Cowboys are a common one I've discovered.
But paladins is you are a a fierce warrior for your god, whatever their alignment is probably whatever you should probably share an alignment or are relatively close to
Okay.
it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And that's
that
why
makes
when
more sense.
And
See,
you're,
and that's-
you're a lot more protection, or you're a tank more as a paladin than warlock. You're like, I need to blast this from way over here, unless
Yeah.
you're
Yeah.
hexblade and they can,
I've X-Blade. They're fun. They're really fun. But yeah, no, definitely. As DC said, if your god is whatever, you should share something of alignment. And where I say you are lawful to your god, that is essentially saying, yeah, no, you share your gods. Like, you're of the light and protection, then you're going to be of light and protection, as opposed to when you get the lawful stupid paladins who are just like, I help people.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I like those.
I would agree. Cause see, that now that you've explained it to me, that makes sense for a paladin. But paladin never made it sense for me. I was always just like, isn't it just a glorified war cleric? But yeah, paladin makes more sense. A lot more. that way.
It's a fighter with healing powers. Let's just get real here. It's just
It's a fighter with smitey powers.
it's a
With
cleric fighter. Okay, it's just I could just cross class a cleric and a fighter and practically be a paladin without the
Essentially.
hang-ups.
That
Yeah.
is one thing I hate about clerics right now, personally, is that everyone's like, "Oh, you're the healer, you combat."
Mm.
Some of the cleric's best stuff comes from.
I mean, depending on
Yeah,
what type of
clerics are
damage you
pretty
take.
good in
Yeah.
combat, so
Oh yeah.
I'd say, no, actually, I can be up here with you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, I
yeah,
mean,
that's what I say too, but
Yeah.
that's not what the
I
party
mean,
seems to believe.
in our campaign, we had a cleric, and she usually instigated most of the fights, even though she was usually, supposed to be the most level-headed one. And so, yeah, get a spectral blade out, and you're practically good to go. Stonewall some people, like turn them into stone. Yeah, before you know it,
Yeah.
there's not much left to do.
If you turn someone into stone, does a dwarf get any bonuses against them?
God, if we had dwarves in the party, I guess I could tell you, but we don't.
Stone.
I
killing.
would say yeah.
I would
Stone
hope so.
killing.
No, the closest thing that we have is a halfling, and so that's. But a halfling barbarian, I don't know if that helps at all. Probably not.
Sure. I mean, I think they did away with the weapon size based damage, didn't they?
I think so.
Well,
don't know.
It used to be that if you were like a small creature, you use a small based weapon, so your
Oh.
damage with the weapon would be different.
I don't think there's anything that really says like this is a large weapon. It's all about reach. Like you can see what your reach is with a weapon, but most of them are pretty much 5 feet. Even my longbow is like, or my bow staff is like 5 feet for reach. But no, I don't think that they actually have anything that says that you have to be a small size. In fact,
No, it wasn't. You had to be a small size, and then like 3-5.
Mm.
If you had a halfling using a longsword, it counted as like a medium-sized creature using a dagger kind of deal.
Oh, okay.
Because your longsword for a halfling is not the same size as a longsword for a orc.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they more standardized weapon damage in 5e.
Mhm.
Whatever longsword might be considered for you, it does this amount of damage. No matter what, longsword is a longsword. It's a longsword. It can look different, but
Yeah.
Which is good, because honestly, that really makes it a lot more balanced for people being like, oh, I want to actually play a class and deal damage, and then they're like, I'm a halfling barbarian, and you're like, that doesn't do damage. Or like
Yeah.
your sword is like a tooth.
Right. For that next gnome bard I make, because no one wants to make that. But I was never like big on making a paladin. Maybe just because I was like, paladins seem like they have to. They have a lot of rules that they have to follow, and I don't want to.
Honestly, I think the class that has the most rules to follow is bard.
Yeah, really.
Bards are actually a really technical class.
Yeah, that's why I don't want to play.
Yeah,
them.
they really are.
yeah, you can get a lot of crazy options with Bard.
I mean, they can be really fun. They really can be. But like just like especially for like a new player, Bard is just like overwhelming.
That's got to be one of the harder
want-
classes to play. Yeah, for from a technical standpoint.
I want my performance checks to be able to distract people in combat if I'm going to play a bard. I want to be able to just make a performance check and dance, and my enemies go like, "What the fuck are you doing?" And just, pardon my French,
Mhm.
and just be like that one guy. I think that would be fun,
Mhm.
and like things like that. That's the kind of bard I want to play. And I don't think that's like what the bard is capable of, though, if I'm understanding correctly. when I read
you'd
it.
probably be looking at a College of Glamour bard.
Yeah,
Mm.
maybe. I'd have to look around. But why are bards so complicated?
Because they have a lot they can do. I don't really know exactly. They occupy a really weird space of being an arcane caster, but not they're like I think they're a half caster because they get decent abilities with armor and weapons. They get decent abilities with spells, but they can also, you know, cast heals.
Mm-hmm. They
Yeah,
do.
I mean, you can give players inspiration, which is a different mechanic than any other class really has, and depending on your level, it's what that bonus adds to them. And depending what college you are, you're more of a melee character, or you're more of a knowledge character, or you can be kind of like what James wanted to be, or you're a stealthy character.
Mm. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, the inspiration is a big one too, because you're right. No other characters really give it. I mean, wizards can give like, oh, True Strike or whatever, but
Hmm.
it's not quite the same.
And then there's Wish, right? I don't even know what Wish does, but I know that that's a powerful spell. But that's like a bard spell, isn't it?
No,
I
that's
think it's a wizard. I think it's a divination spell as well.
Oh yeah. For some reason, I remember bards doing that, but it might be
I mean,
available to a
bards
different
can
subclass.
Here's the thing with arcane. Arcane casters can almost learn like anything.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas
Except healing spells. Except the bard.
bard knows healing hand.
Yeah.
Mm.
I think they might know a couple other ones. I've actually, in my campaigns, I've said, if you're playing a bard or a sorcerer, you can learn divine spells, but you have to practice them and actually learn them. Because a sorcerer uses innate ability. There's no reason they should not be able to learn it. As opposed to a wizard who basically takes it with book learning. So it's a little different.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just kind of looking over.
Wish is a wizard and sorcerer spell. For
Okay.
that clarification.
I thought
Is it?
bards got wish too.
Not in 5e.
Huh.
No. Bards. I think trade their usefulness all over the place for some of the higher level arcane spells.
Mm.
What level spell can a bard get up to? I don't know
9.
off the top of my head.
If at higher levels they can have a ninth level spell.
A
I'm
ninth
lo-
level spell.
A ninth levels. I'm looking at the bard right now. It's
Okay.
they get a ninth level spell slot at 17th level.
As
and-
opposed to the wizard who gets more, and the sorcerer who gets still more, but not as many as the wizard.
Did bards get wish in 3.5?
I
Maybe.
really couldn't tell you anymore.
All I know is that at some point bards did get wish because for the end of the very first season of Critical Role,
That's what I was thinking.
this is going
I
to be a
saw
massive spoiler. But
but I saw, like, I had seen the very end, and I was like, because Sam was playing a bard.
right,
And
but
there's
he was going to use
something-
wish to save someone's life, and he
Yeah.
couldn't because he had to use his ninth level spell on something else.
Mm.
So at some point he got access to wish
Right.
as a
and
bard.
that is dependent on their game and
That's
how
true.
Matt Mercer wants to do those things. And so, yeah, a bard can get wish if you really want them to. It doesn't have to be in the rules for it to work.
Mm-hmm. Mm. Yeah.
That's fair.
Not necessarily rules as written, but
Right.
if you want to...
House homebrew's always
Yeah.
important.
Because Critical Role is very much homebrewed to begin with. Like, the setting, Tal'Dorei and everything that they did, that's not an official setting. Although now, maybe, but...
It wasn't. It is now, for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah. Now, they still do. And one of the friends of the show, Captain Sugar Bear, still plays in the Further Adventures of Tal'Dorei, which they have license to do over at Soul Bear Pod. So, So that setting's still going on. But
Speaking of Critical Role,
mm,
is so in the new one of the characters is playing the cleric of some unknown god named the Traveler. Does that sound warlocky? Is that just me, or does that sound warlocky to everybody? It sounds so warlocky to me.
I didn't know that you could actually make that an adjective. But congratulations. Dude.
I mean, I think because another guy, Travis plays a warlock or did, might still, his story was, he had a relationship with his pack patron that went south. But
Oof, that's not good.
the way they play them is distinctly different, and I do get a different feel. I don't get the same feeling.
Yeah, I like it. It was just like, wow, this does not feel like a cleric.
Mm.
Because, like, one of the scenes, it was like, he appears at the foot of the bed and they start talking. I'm like, this doesn't sound like a god. This sounds like a cleric. This sounds like a patron that is very subtly being very sexy to his warlock. Or, I guess, what do you call a female warlock? Still a warlock? I
I
don't
think
know.
so.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mhm.
And I was like, that's kind of cool, but also mildly creepy at the same time. It was weird and very cool.
Yeah, I got slightly different vibe off of that.
Yeah. Anyways, that was very off topic, but
That's okay. I mean, we had Disco Monks. There's not much more that we can do with that.
Addie Hollis, Disco Bandit,
Disco Band.
real thing.
Perfect.
Coming soon to a game near you.
That's right. Available for streaming rights. Anyone wants to take it on? Just let us know.
Might happen sooner than later.
Yeah, who knows? Yeah, Netflix is always looking for stuff, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Hoof and Horror Detective Agency. Coming soon
No.
to Netflix.
No.
Alex just vetoes that immediately.
Speaking of,
Yes.
so this is just random and not necessarily pertinent, but I am still planning on running another Christmas one shot this year.
Nice.
If you guys were wanting to join me for that, I
Oh,
Ooh.
boy.
would not necessarily have to be on here, but I was planning on streaming it on Twitch. So
Yeah, I still don't really know what we're doing for our Christmas episode. I had the one.
No idea.
I had the one thing that I had mentioned earlier in the chat, Alex, about like if we did a continuation of the Christmas chalet, but the Hoof and Horn Detective Agency comes to find out who killed Bing Crosby. Up at the chalet, and then it's just a murder mystery.
oh, that's
There's-
fun.
There's a possibility. It's, but yeah, gonna have to figure that out sooner rather than later. What we're going to do. But
I'm
there,
excited. I'm looking forward to it.
yes.
So.
I am.
The Christmas stuff is always fun with you guys. So
Oh yeah. I can't
We
wait.
try occasionally.
I can't wait. Mostly this year, I'm just sitting here thinking to myself, boy, I got to do a lot of Christmas specials now, don't I? Because I'm gonna have to do something for Delve, and I'm gonna have to do something for Orbital, and I'm probably gonna have to do some video stuff for Christmas too. Which I have no idea what I would do for attempting to play, because last year I just did the Hitman, the holiday one, where he had to dress up like Santa. I was like, that was pretty great. That was a literal thing. The holiday hijinks or whatever that mission was in the Hitman series. And I was
that
like,
sounds awesome.
and it's like I had played it before, and I'm like, this would be a really fun thing to do for the Christmas episode. And I just put on my Santa voice the entire time, just talking about how I have to bust a cap in your asses, you stupid. Just going around. Santa's very angry. You're getting no presents this year. Because, of course, it's Hitman, so everything goes sideways about 5 minutes into the mission.
Right.
Yeah. And people have played Hitman, right? People know what this is.
I've seen it, not played it,
Yeah.
but
Well,
I do have some understanding of the game and how it
all you
works.
really need to
I
know.
mean,
Yes.
Row 4 has a Christmas thing.
Mm.
DLC.
What does?
It's Row 4.
Oh, Saints Row 4, that's right!
Oh dear.
Saints Row 4 has that Christmas special thing that they did. Borderlands 2 had one as well. They had the Frosty King, which I couldn't defeat on the Ultimate Vault Hunter mode. That's a hard boss battle. Yeah, no, there's some interesting Christmas stuff. I'm still just trying to figure out what exactly. Lord knows the thing that's going to happen is they'll be like, hey, Fallout 76 is doing a Christmas thing. And I'm like, God damn it. You're going to make me...
Someone will come out with a Santa dating simulator. It's gonna happen.
Perfect. I'm there. I am there. They need to make the KFC dating simulator, but it's just they do a reskin and it's now Santa.
Oh, that would be so weird.
That'd be
Especially
perfect.
if you were an elf.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
that makes me cringe hard inside.
Well, you know what's funny is I was just looking not too long ago at the rule set for Feast of Legends. and and I don't know about you, but if you don't want to be the Order of the Asiago Chicken Club Sandwich, I don't know what's wrong with you.
How come?
I don't even know much of what it does. It's like a spellcaster class. But the name alone, how
That's
do
true.
you not want to be the Order of the Asiago Chicken Club?
You are the master of the fifth element. Jeez.
You are the master of the fifth element. The fifth spice. And, yeah, it is pretty great. The thing I liked most about that was they made Wendy look amazing for as Queen Wendy. The artwork that they did for that was like way better than you expect Wendy's to do for a role-playing game. It was pretty amazing. But I just like the idea of going around and they give you roleplay rules when you're in Freshtovia. About like things that you can say when you go to all the different places that you can go around town, and the lines that you give feel like the lines that they would give their employees to say when they're asked questions by the media. We're just overbooked. I guess we should have been charging more. Yeah, it's funny because it sounds like a thing. It's a corporate thing. It's fun though. It made me actually want to play. It sounded fun. You have a hunger meter. It's pretty great. So who knows? If anybody knows of any particularly wintry things,
What are
they wanna
the
be able to
different orders?
Oh.
So, what are the difference between the different orders?
Order 66 is the one that killed all the Jedi.
No, that's something very different, Alex. I can actually, you know what I'll do for you, James.
I'm
is-
looking at the PDF right now.
Oh, okay, you
I
are.
will-
Okay, I was wondering if you were looking at. There's order of the beef, there's order of the chicken, and there's order of the sides. And this feels like a very apt thing to talk about since we just came off of Thanksgiving.
So, order of the chicken is magic. Very interesting.
Order of the beef are warriors. Those are the fighter classes. And the order sides feel like support classes more than anything.
So it's mage archer. It's based on the mage archer warrior
Sterling Archer?
trio.
Okay. Yeah.
So this is something I've been seeing more and more as I role playing creation is typically you have a triad or a quartet, I guess is probably the best word, of classes. And it's either you have a fighter, mage, archer, which is really a support class, and that's what you see in a lot of like the online RPGs and stuff like that, or you have fighter, healer, wizard, and thief
Mm-hmm.
type, which is stuff like Pathfinder and Dungeons and Dragons.
Mm-hmm.
So like
Oh,
I don't know. That part of character creation is fascinating to me, and like how you build a not busted party.
right.
Oh,
Now, do you think that it feels too reductionist when they get down to like basically these are the three things?
I do. I like it when I like basically how they're doing it here, where you have the three things, but then you can specialize.
Yeah,
In like the online RPGs where you have three options and that's it. I don't like that.
yeah, yeah. And I do
Even if it
apologize.
was like you had six,
Yeah,
that's better.
I do apologize. It's the Order of the Asiago Ranch Chicken Club. I feel bad that I messed
It's even
that
better.
up. Yeah,
It's even better.
it's so much more spectacular that way. I mean, I like that I can be an order of the chicken nuggets. Just because I
You
don't,
are an order of chicken nuggets.
yeah. Oh, that's why they're called orders. I get it.
Yeah.
Okay, good job.
I get how this works now.
The whole thing is literally just a pun. Like
Yes.
it is just a pun in book form.
Yeah. I mean, I have to say, kudos to them for the effort. Because, man, you would never think that that anyone would have put this much effort into something that's kind of a tongue-in-cheek joke. But, man...
Effort is in advertising. Who came up with this deserves so much.
they really... Man... It's really brilliant marketing, though. It really...
It's so good.
It really is. Because then you start to think about it, like, just from a marketing standpoint, I mean, yeah, you might say, okay, we made, like, a whole free game, and I'm sure that takes a lot of resources to make, and then you just give it away for free. But just imagine the amount of earned media they make from people playing it and streaming it and, like, all of that. Like, you know, that's a lot of just stuff that you didn't even have to do. You can just let it go at that point and just let other people advertise for you.
Yeah. And it targets an audience that is typically eats that kind of stuff anyways because it's convenient and fast. So
and
it targets dungeon D&D players and stuff. So.
Yeah, and I can explore the French fry forest, and that's always fun. But
it's so smart.
But it is like when KFC goes and does the anime dating sim for God knows what reason. It's just, it seems like a lot of work for something that's like kind of silly, but at the same time, it's kind of brilliant, you know?
Oh yeah.
It's kind of brilliant. Kudos. I want to play a handsome gentleman from Old Spice too. That was a great character class they made.
Old Spice body wash.
Yeah. No. You know what I'm talking about. The gentleman class that they made for
A mental gen?
for D&D. They made the gentleman class. Which I'm sure I can find. D&D. Basically, that's the thing that we really need to change about Dungeons and Dragons to get back on track. Is they need to have the gentleman class needs to be in it, and maybe if there was a dating sim part. So, this also goes to show that not all ideas are good, because no one wants to have a date. Damn it! Now I kind of want to do a campaign that's just a giant dating show.
No.
That would have been awesome. Can you imagine if your party walks into the love connection? Now what happens? Contestant number 1 is a barbarian from the northern wastes. Likes long walks on the beaches and slaying things with shells. Let's go.
The game you kindly played in for me
Yes.
the other week
Yes.
is based on that part's going to be in a campaign,
Oh,
an
nice.
Eberron campaign, and now I'm just going to add a dating sim because reality is constantly broken for these people.
Oh.
And I think that's another way I will break reality for them.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Percy was super confused by what was happening.
Yeah,
There,
that was
yeah.
great.
Yeah, it's pretty great. I could do an electric slide. That's all I needed to do. Yeah, no, the idea of breaking the reality of the whole thing was very interesting. I was slightly concerned by the idea that the world was falling away behind me while we were going through it. And the fact that coins were popping out of the people, those were kinds of things that gave me some red flags.
What game is this?
For those that are wondering, I ran a one-shot as kind of a test bed for a campaign I'm running later. And in it, I basically put the players in a 2D fighting game like Final Fight. And so, like in a fighting game, when you advance the screen, you can't go back. So I just had a void be in the background. And, at certain places, like to their, because usually you're facing east, so to your west is just void. You advance 40 feet, that void catches up because you can't go back in that classic side scroller game.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
That would be pretty.
It got real weird. but one thing DC asks is that the character that you build for this specific thing had 6 basic actions that they could do. And so those were like the 6 things that you could do. So it wasn't so bad for me because I'm a rogue. So there's not a ton of but then we had one spellcaster, and so it becomes a little bit tricky for that character because you have so many options, and then you kind of have to reduce that down to 6.
Right.
And mine ended up being I can climb a wall really good, because that's a thing. Because I'm a Tabaxi scout, I can climb anything real fast. Just show me a wall.
Good.
Yeah. Well, between the scouts abilities to do dashes on their bonus moves and stuff like that, and a Tabaxi having feline agility, you can go real. You can, if you work it in a turn, you could do 3 or 4 times your normal base movement speed. If you just committed to doing movement only for your turn. It's kind of, because you could do a dash on your main action, dash on your bonus action, and do feline agility, which actually is 3 more of your full movement turn. So if you want to go 120 feet in a turn, that's the character you want to play. You want to be Percy Jackson. It's, for the record, it's Percy.
Was that a Tabaxi? Yeah, that's what I thought. That was a Tabaxi pun.
Yeah. His name is Percy Jackson.
Just perfect.
Yep. That's what his name is. He's great. And for the record, yes, he sounds exactly like a Khajiit. Because that's the only thing I could think of every time I see Tabaxi. Tabaxi is innocent of these crimes. That's I have to make him sound like that. But now it is also Tabaxi. Tabaxi is innocent of these crimes. I do not understand. But that was fun though, because I did get to play a rogue, and I have not gotten to play a rogue. I was so originally I had him as a monk, and I was like, I really want to play something besides a monk at some point to try some other things. Rogues are pretty good.
Rogues are pretty fun.
Yeah, as long as they have... Rogues work really well if there's somebody else for, like, melee combat. Like, they work great, like, especially with their backstab damage and stuff like that. They work great if you also happen to have, like, a tank around. Because then a rogue can come up from behind while the tank's attacking and get backstab damage in all day long.
Unless you're a swashbuckler, in which case you want to be by yourself.
Everyone wants to be a swashbuckler.
Swashbucklers are good because they fight on their own. And they don't need other people to get their sneak attack damage.
Yeah, everybody wants to be a swashbuckler subclass. It's like...
Plus, swashbucklers are always the sexy ones. So you're the dark, angsty, sexy swashbuckler pirate dude who just steals and winks at the ladies and they go, ah! And
So a bard?
yes, it is the rogue version
A
of
bard, but an emo band bard.
The swashbuckler is the emo band bard.
Dark and brooding.
Yes!
Oh my god.
To be fair, my chem is coming back, right?
Jesus.
So you can play a swashbuckler rogue or a Way of Shadows bard, and it's the exact same thing, basically. That's what you're telling me?
That's...
Yes.
Yeah. I want him to look like Stefan from that, Stefan from the Saturday Night Live sketches. I just want him to... I just want my swashbuckler robe to be like, New York's hottest club is, oh my god, they're going to kill me. That's what I want. Can I make that character now? I will call him Stefan. That's my swashbuckler. I had decided I wanted a scout archetype, mostly because I was like, well, speed is such a big thing for the scout. You really, it's hard to actually get close to a scout because you can move away from targets, like as a reaction and stuff. It's pretty good. But
What system is this?
oh, it's D&D.
D&D? I've never heard of a scout in D&D.
It's a rogue archetype.
It's
Say
a
that again?
rogue subclass.
Subclass. Yep.
I've never seen that. Very interesting.
Mm-hmm. Probably not, because even when they ranked, this was funny because I think Nerdist had ranked, was it Nerdist or Geek and Sundry? I think it might have been Geek and Sundry. They ranked the rogue classes from like best to worst, and Scout's not even on there. So to give you an idea, like they gave like the best ones, and it was like the 5 best. Scout's not on there.
Yeah.
It's like Assassin is, Thief, Swashbuckler's the best, of course. But like Scout's not even on that, and I'm like, but no one gives the Scout, adequate. Yeah, thank you, DC. That was the one. Yeah, where they had Amy Vorpal dressed up as the different rogue archetypes, but yeah, I think it was a Thief, an Assassin, and Swashbuckler were like the big ones. And I get that, but I think people, I like the what do Scouts get? Scouts have a whole thing where, as a reaction, if an enemy ends their action, like inside 5 feet of them, they can actually use their reaction to move like 20 feet in any direction that they want without provoking reaction attacks.
Oh, wow, that's really good.
Yeah, I know. It's like...
So basically you get attacked and you can reposition yourself. That's really useful.
Yeah, without having to worry about getting attacks of opportunity on you. Which, if you're in a field, that's a huge deal. And all you have to do for that is a reaction. It's like, and I think it's if they end their movement turn. It's like, that's even better. You come close to me, react, back, leave it. No, try to hit me now. It's what was it? Hard to pin down or something, I think is the skill. Really good. Like it a lot. And yeah, no, they have some really good things that keep their movement high and give them a lot more options where they can do some bonus skills as some of like your additional actions like dodge or disengage and stuff you can use as bonus actions too. Dash
Wow.
and stuff like that. Yeah, no, they have some neat stuff. And unfortunately, it's like no one even cares. But I swear it's actually a really good class for and especially because being able to use dash as like a bonus action is incredibly useful.
Can't
Um,
all rogues do that?
I don't know.
I think
Can they? I don't
think
know.
so.
Maybe they can.
I think all rogues have access to high dash and disengage at level 3 or something as a bonus action.
No idea.
There's an easy way for me to find out. I'm gonna look it up. Cunning action. Ah, yes, cunning action.
Yeah.
Second level.
Dash, disengage, and hide.
Dash, disengage, and
Wasn't
hide.
that far off?
Mm-hmm. And then, yeah, the one that they give out of the gate on D&D Beyond is the thief archetype, which people like, I suppose. I never.
It's so generic and classic. I think people just like that kind of thing. So
Yeah, it's if you want to play Garrett from the Thief series, here you go. You're all set. Congratulations. I think that's mostly what it is. It's like there's a lot of games, especially that are in like a fantasy setting, where you can play a thief and that kind of character, a stealthy character. So you normally gravitate toward that as a thing. Assassin's the other like really big one too, because again, it's that other kind of like wet work in the night kind of stealthy character archetype. But I don't know. The thing about rogues is that I feel like that's so much more of an overarching term. Like there's a lot of different. I think that's kind of where archetypes are so important, especially for rogues, is because rogues can function in a variety of ways.
there's a lot of rogue types. Yeah.
Yeah, and those archetypes really do lean into how you can play them. You don't have to play a rogue as a stealth character at all. Your rogue can be very much an active fighter character, or really a conversationalist. There's a lot of different ways that you can build a rogue, and it's kind of hard to say that it's a specific kind of class. Like you'd normally.
It's really a jack of all trades. It can do a lot of different things, but it doesn't always necessarily do them super well.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's not true. It doesn't get expertise, but even then, some stuff it does well, but not great.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's the big thing that they do is their sneak attack is stupid good.
Wouldn't it be great to have a rogue that's like a politician, and then their sneak attack was literally just them slinging mud at their opponent while they attacked, which is like moral damage?
So basically, you're
Objection.
making Phoenix right.
Yep.
Objection.
Objection. Yeah, all you're doing is you're making Phoenix right. He's yelling objection. It's Phoenix Wright in Capcom v Marvel. It's just where you figured that the lawyer is not going to stand much of a chance against like Dr. Doom, but then he like sends down all of the orders, and it's like no, in violation of this, and before you know it, Dr. Doom's just knocked out of the competition. It's like how'd that happen?
Yeah.
Good job, Phoenix Wright. We should definitely make a rogue character that's just Phoenix Wright. That would be.
Why? That's more. I think a bard would do better for that.
You think a bard for Phoenix Wright?
Yeah, bards get more charisma and stuff, and inspiration you could use against like the judge or whatever, and like counter song could be like counter argument.
Yeah.
That's true.
Mm-hmm. Well, this is a good conversation for another episode at some point, Alex, is like anime characters. What kind of D&D character would they be? We've already talked about that at one point with Pokemon. So, hey,
Oh, jeez.
yeah.
How would you do JoJo's Bizarre Adventure
You
in
wouldn't.
Dungeons and
You just
Dragons?
wouldn't. You would not. They would all be homebrew, and it would all be broken.
Because it'd be balanced because everything would be broken, even the enemies.
Well,
That's
that
not balanced. That's just broken.
well, you know, I always said that I wanted to see like an unglued, but for D&D.
Nope.
Maybe that's it.
My GM would strongly disagree with that statement, Alex. He would so strongly disagree with that statement.
Which one?
That if everything is broken, it then does not because it does. Two broken that does not make a balanced.
Two
brokens means everything's broken and nobody's gonna have a good time. Let me tell you a story. If you break your character, I will break my game.
But some of the funniest things that have happened in both of my campaigns, the one I'm running and the one I'm in, have happened because just bullshit goes on and we throw everything to the wind and things just get crazy.
Yeah, but that's how campaigns and stories and everything go completely off the rails.
That's fair. I mean, I've had a goose eat how many gods now? 3 gods? I think 3 gods.
What you do to the gods?
A goose ate them.
Oh.
A goose?
So,
oh.
yes.
Oh, so
Like
you were playing Untitled Goose Game.
You jest, but one of the players in my game, in both of the games actually, he's in the one I'm running and the one I'm in, has made a character that is literally the goose from Untitled Goose Game.
Is it a
This is why we
rogue?
can't have nice things.
It is a rogue barbarian.
Oh god.
Why did I... How did I know?
He has eaten 3 gods in the one I am running. He literally spent his inspiration to eat a god. Because that's how that works.
I hope that gave him the holy shits.
Yeah, it did. It was ridiculous. And then last night he ate another one, and I do not know what I'm going to do. He's looking at having a third one move in, and then the other game he is a sleep arsonist apparently, so that's a thing.
Okay.
It is he is the wildest character. I don't know. That is always going to be my argument for why broken can be fun, is because
ridiculous is not the same thing as fun always, though.
that's true.
The goose is also chaotic evil, just for the record. Just
Not broken is always fun, but broken definitely can be fun. In the
Sure,
right
broken
hands.
can be fun. Again, you break your character in my game, I will break my game to break your character.
two wrongs do not make a phoenix right.
Yes, they do, Nathan.
That's my
Objection.
title of this segment. It's 2 wrongs do not make a phoenix right. Hey, to summarize what we were talking about with D&D and things. Hey, best thing that we could do, have a goose class. There you go.
That's just called a druid.
Then you just turn into a goose.
Uh-huh.
Yep. Oh, that's what the goose should have been, a druid.
Dire goose.
A dire goose.
Yeah.
That's
So,
dangerous.
Tanya DePass, who plays on Rivals of Waterdeep,
Mm.
she made a based on the Untitled Goose Game Goose. She made a instead of an abyssal chicken, she modified it to an abyssal goose. And you can find that on D&D Beyond.
What? I must find this thing.
Well,
Oh, dear.
I know what I'm looking up right now.
Yes, same.
Well, let's find ourselves an abyssal goose. It didn't like how I spelled abyssal goose. Why did it not
Abysmal
like
goose.
abyssal goose?
Abysmal goose.
Okay, I'm gonna
And
look up
you are a
goose.
horrible goose.
You're abysmal.
I'm gonna just look up goose. Maybe I can find goose.
Goosey goosey
I
gander.
can't find the abyssal goose. Now I am sad. I'll just look it up. Furious typing to find abyssal goose. That's the kind of audio.
Abysmal.
Oh.
That may not be the exact name of it, but
I
Uh.
searched
could be
goose and I can't seem to find it. Is it
no, it's a homebrew monster.
okay?
It's an abysmal goose. Try that.
There's a name. Oh. Nameless goose? Oh, I see what they did there.
This is quality entertainment.
It's asking me for abyssal grouse, abyssal grove, but not abyssal goose. I can't find it.
Maybe it's an abyssal Canadian goose.
Oh god, that's scary.
Scary goose.
I did have to, like, James, are you scared of geese up there? Because the Canadian geese seem particularly terrifying.
Goose are horrible beings.
They are
It's 'cause they
everything
have
wrong in the
rows of
world.
teeth.
Goose are horrible beings. I hate them so much.
Mm-hmm.
They're just mean. They're so mean.
I had once seen a thing, and it was that the reason that Canadians are very nice is because once a year, they take all of their anger and they put it into their geese, and then they let the geese fly. Is that an accurate
Probably
statement,
true.
or is that?
It's probably true.
I don't know.
They fight the geese, and the geese run off with their anger.
I cannot find this abyssal goose.
I don't know. I
found the nameless goose.
I did find a nameless goose, but that wasn't on D&D Beyond.
Yeah.
But
I found it. Just a second.
oh, you found it. Okay. Hold on. We got it coming. This is quality
one.
entertainment, by the way, because it's goose
Quality
related.
entertainment. Everybody Google.
Here we go.
Abyssal
I'll-
Untitled Goose. Is
I'll pull it up for the stream too,
Abyssal.
because it's very important that we see abyssal untitled goose. All right, let's look at abyssal untitled. It's a large aberration demon. It is chaotic evil. I called it. Okay, this is good. This is good. Very high strength, very low charisma. Somehow that makes sense. Saving throw. Strength plus. Oh my
the
god.
Sonic Honk ability is fairly amazing.
Sonic Honk. Cone attack. +4 to hit. Reach 20 feet up to 4 targets. Hit 8 2d8 +4. Psychic damage. If hit, target is incapacitated for 1 round. If Goose crits, then target is incapacitated for up to 3 rounds of combat. Target can make a con save throw.
What is this?
Oh my god.
What is this?
It's abyssal.
So here's what you do is if you make the JoJo's adventure campaign, Alex will break his campaign by just sending a bunch of abyssal untitled geese at you.
They'll be the size of a terrace, though.
Oh, okay. So you
Wow.
gotta scale some of this up a little bit.
It'll be the size of a terrace.
Yeah. Legendary actions. Goose rears back its head, opens its vile maw, and either spews fire up and outward in a rain, or may aim at an NPC or PC attacking it directly. My god, it's a firebird. This is a scary, scary being. It resides in the hall of Fort Knucklebone. Perfect. Guarding a clutch of eggs that will allow more abyssal geese to be bred as guardians. Perfect.
I'm surprised there's no picture for this.
There is. Just go to Entitled Goose Game and look at that goose, and it's basically that.
No, it needs to be abyssal. Like it needs to be black and like red with flames.
Just take the regular goose from the Untitled Goose Game, and you just here we go. We just take. Wait, this, but abyssal. There.
Oh dear.
There. It's that, but it's abyssal.
No, it needs to look like a nightmare.
It
like the monster, the nightmare.
Okay, well
Except
then
for
just
goose.
make his eyes red.
No.
It's just that goose, but with red eyes. Now it's abyssal,
No.
and it's got horns. Would an abyssal goose have horns? Well, I mean, technically it has a honk, but not unnecessarily a horn. That's a completely different thing.
That was bad.
It's
You should feel bad.
what does a goose and a horn have in common? A honk.
They're honk.
Hey, hey, hey. That's fun. D&D needs more puns. That's what it required. Okay then. All right. So in other news, what is everyone playing right now? I want to make sure that
Same thing I've been playing.
yeah. WoW? Playing
No,
WoW?
I haven't played that in like 2 weeks. I've just been playing a ton of Inquisitor Martyr.
Oh, yeah, that one. You were fluctuating between the two of those, so.
Yeah, I took a little break from WoW.
Yep.
Or I just got obsessed with Inquisitor Martyr. I'm not sure which.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Oh, that's good. That's good.
Yeah.
Cool. James, what are you playing? Except trying not to die because of a double murder. We got that.
Sorry. Say that again.
James?
Sorry. I'm on.
Can barely hear you, James.
Can't hear you, James. James got to the other end of the subway. And his
So,
equipment...
I'm slowly playing the new Star Wars game.
Yes, I was going to ask you about that, because
Can you hear?
Yeah.
I can.
Sorry. Got my settings all screwed up because I was doing something. Fix now.
Okay.
A little distracted.
That's all right. Well, don't worry. You have a moment to think. So yeah, DC, I was trying to figure out because when they started telling me that it was like a Dark Souls, I was like, oh no, not a Dark Souls.
Yeah, I can see where that came from. Again, I've only played a couple hours in, so I'm not very far yet, and I just haven't gotten back around to it.
Right.
But yeah, it's a little bit that. I wouldn't say it's as tough as a Dark Souls, but definitely provides a bit of a challenge. So.
Yeah.
And you get skill points, which I don't know if I know how to use those yet because I got one, I think.
Oh,
I
perfect.
haven't applied it to anything, so yeah,
Gotcha.
I'm very early in the game still.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I liked the idea that if you had Dark Souls, but you also could like force push people off of a balcony and stuff. That was very appealing. Yeah.
I could do that.
I like that. I mean, at least it feels a little bit more active than the actual Dark Souls, where my guy in armor just kind of like walks around like a tank around barricades. I get to like jump around and do stuff now. Like, that's kind of nice. I'd heard a lot of good things. It was a little bit Dark Souls, a little bit country, a little bit rock and roll, a little bit, a little Uncharted, a little Metroid.
Oh,
Throw.
you must talk about earlier because you posted the girlfriend review.
Yes, yes, I did. When I was talking to Paul a little earlier, he had jumped on and he started playing the Dark Souls, and so I was like, oh yeah. When when they got into that in girlfriend reviews, you hear Shelby practically scream, "I didn't know this was a Dark Souls." When he talks about the Fallen Order, and I'm like, yeah, sorry about that. Because you could tell that she does not enjoy the Dark Souls. pretty easy from everything that Matt's ever played. It's like I don't like watching it. So I didn't know that it had a Dark Souls in it. But that's good. Besides that, was there anything else that you were playing right now?
Not video game wise, no.
Okay. Just like the Final Fight RPG stuff.
Yeah, I'm in like 3 D&D campaigns, so I'm playing different
Oh,
characters
God.
in all of those.
Oh. Okay. That's fun. Are those pretty big groups or small?
Let's see. I think there's 4 to 6 people in each one, so
Oh, okay. That's a
good
pretty
size.
pretty good size. Pretty good size. Great. Classes that you're playing?
Let's see here. I'm a Genasi Eldritch Knight in one.
Ooh.
That's fun because I also took the Warcaster feat, so I can cast with my sword out. Still have sword and shield.
Oh, nice.
Good stuff. Then another one. I'm a champion fighter that does the dual blade thing, and the newest campaign, I'll be a Warforged wizard.
Oh, nice. Is that in Eberron? If it's a Warforged?
And it's a whole party of Warforged characters.
Oh, okay.
In Eberron.
Okay, yeah. That's neat. I like that. Yeah, I was looking at fire classes at one point, and I think there was a newer one that I want to say was Monster Slayer or Monster Hunter. I can never remember which one. And I was like, that looks
Those are
fun.
Rangers.
Yeah. Yeah, so unfortunately, like the one game, the one shot that you ran for me is probably the only time I've really played D&D most of the year. So for majority of the year, because we pretty much had stopped with our campaign indefinitely back in like March, April, something like that. So I haven't really played at all since then, which is unfortunate. Right now, Rembrandt's in a hell dimension, full of swirling colors, and as far as I know, that's pretty much where he's going to be for the rest. That's where his story kind of ends. Just
live there now.
Yeah, just trying to get his own nose with his minor illusion stuff. Putting his own. Oh no, actually, I said that while he's waiting for his party to come and rescue him or figure out how to get out of this, he's like he's just like using minor illusion to make a representation of what he thinks the noses of all of his friends look like. Because he had this whole thing early on where he decided he would do a fun trick with one of the servants that was working at the manor they were staying at, because she seemed really scared of him because he's a giant glowing turtle. So she's a little terrified, and he realizes, oh, I can make her feel better, and he like reaches out his claw, and like pretends to get her nose, and then uses minor illusion to make a version of her nose in his hand. and it's like, got your nose. And so,
Oh my god.
And so Tom like rolls is like, yeah, she's gonna have to make like a some kind of a save for that, and he's like, yeah, she lost her shit on that one. And she ran away very fast. And everyone was angry at Rembrandt for making her upset. True neutral. There you go.
Oh my gosh, I would freak the heck out if someone did that to
Well, then, like, our cleric, Mina, she's trying to explain to Rembrandt that that's not a good thing to do, and that's not what you do in public. And Rembrandt's, like, nodding like he knows what she's talking about, and then reaches out his hand and does the same trick to her. and now he has Mina's nose in his hand. This is what playing with me is like, for the record.
That's awesome.
It's just this stupid stuff. And then, like, oh yeah, I wanted to make her feel better at a certain point, like, because Rembrandt started to worry that she actually felt like she didn't have her nose anymore. So he gets minor illusion, makes her nose, and then places the illusionary nose back on her face. To replace. For the record, that didn't go over well either.
I would imagine.
Yep.
I would imagine.
So hey, you know, that happened. Anyway, I'm also still playing in 1897. I'm playing in 1879. 1879 is what I wanted to say. With Andy. And luckily, my weird scientist has gotten back to London and has started up his workshop, which I have decided I'm going to call the Danger Zone, because, yeah, it is going to be a danger zone for him. Mostly so I can make, like, stun grenades and stuff, because I'm going to need them. So that's a fun thing. And I got my Christmas present early this year, which was a new television. So of course the first thing you do when you get a new television is you think, hey, I wonder what old games look like on this.
Of course.
Yeah. So I've been tooling around actually with like Fable, Fallout New Vegas, Elder Scrolls Oblivion. What else? There were some other older ones that I was playing. But I've been tooling around with those to see, hey, how do these look in 4K? How do these look on the big screen? Some of them age better than others, just for the record. Some of them age better than others. Oblivion does not look good, just for the record. I started to remember why I don't think out of all the Elder Scrolls games I played Oblivion the least. That's in the appropriate amount of time. Oblivion wasn't great, for the record, folks. Sorry, it really wasn't. The system's weird. And the faces all look wrong. The faces on all the characters look wrong. They just do. And they make it, like, every time you go to talk to one, it has to, like, zoom so far in on their freaking face that, like, they cover the entire screen. Like, I don't really want to look at your giant dough face. Please don't do that. Fable looks okay. Not spectacular. I'm playing the Anniversary Edition, so it looks a little bit better. But surprisingly, New Vegas looks pretty damn good, even now. And what's weird is that with the clarity of the graphics that they can do you see details in it that you did not see before. Like, I would go and look at, like, Veronica's armor. I had given her power armor. And the wear and everything that they put on the armor, I could not normally see that before. But it is very much there. Like, the detail in it is very much there in the outfits and the character designs and the landscape, which I was really surprised by. On the other hand, Borderlands 3 looks great. New games look really good, too. But, of course, I need to see if an old game looks good. Have not tried original Xbox games. That's going to have to be next. Oh, the polygons. Yay. Can't wait.
All the polygons belong to you.
All the polygons belong to me. It's going to be so... Oof. That era does not necessarily age very well. I did get a chance, though, to play some of the smaller indie games while I was at it. Played a little bit of Ori and the Blind Forest. Slay the Spire, which is surprisingly good. Actually, I was like, this is actually pretty engaging. A little bit of Hollow Knight. I did play a little bit of Hollow Knight. That's not an easy game. I'll tell you that right now.
It's supposed to be really good though.
I mean, what I will give it, it's not necessarily like my favorite style of gaming, but it is kind of Metroidy. So like I can enjoy it on that level. It's definitely not easy at all. It's going to be a challenge when you get to it, and your advancement in terms of like getting better at things is very minimal. So you're mostly just getting better by getting better at the game. Your character itself doesn't really do much in terms of upgrading. You will eventually get like life and stuff, but it's not constant. You have to like get 4 pieces, and those are usually pretty expensive. Like there's a lot to do. There's some Dark Souls elements to it as well, where like if you die in the dungeon, you go back to your last save point, and then you have to go to collect your money from your shadow. It's it's not simple at all. But what I will give it is that the hand-drawn animation is amazing. I mean, that is real. Like, the art direction of it is amazing. And that's what I'll give Ori too, is that like the art direction is great. I didn't enjoy playing the game very much, but the art direction was really good. I don't like Dead Cells. For the record, I tried Dead Cells to see what everyone was talking about. No. I don't know. Sorry. I'm not doing that. Oh my god. It's a roguelike. It's very Dark Souls. Dead Cells is very Dark Souls. I don't like that. Sorry. It doesn't matter how far you get in the game. Is like, well, you die, you go back to the very first starting area, and I hope you were able to cash in some of your souls to get some upgrades, because if not, you're screwed. Yeah, Dead Cells, I didn't enjoy that one. Sorry. Slay the Spire is interesting, though. That's like a card battling roguelike. You just have to kind of get used to the mechanics a little bit, but
Oh yeah, I've seen that game. It's supposed to be really good too.
I can attest, like, there are times where it is frustrating, because you're like, oh crap, they're probably gonna kill me, and I didn't get the right cards for this round. That was actually the gripe that I had. Is that like if you have a deck, you have your hand of cards. If you didn't play some of the cards in that hand, those go away too, and you get brand new cards the next round. And I was sitting there like, but it would have been more strategic if it worked like an actual deck builder, where like if I didn't use cards in my hand, I keep those cards and I draw up to the number that I should have in my hand. Because then I could actually say, okay, I don't need defense cards right now, but I'll save them because then I can use them on the next turn. No, if you don't use the defense cards in your hand, those go into the discard pile too, and you gotta wait for the whole thing to reshuffle. Besides that, I didn't like that basic mechanic of it. The idea of having like a roguelike turn-based battling system but with cards was really interesting. It definitely did something very unique, and I appreciated that. So did get a chance to play that, and if I played anything else, I don't remember what they were, so they probably weren't very good. And they probably weren't very memorable. Sorry. That's just the truth of the matter. For some reason, I had... Alex knows this, but I had run through, like, all the Fallouts for some reason.
Because you like to.
Yeah, well, for some reason, I don't know why, but some people were saying, like, you know, Fallout 3 kind of sucked, and I was like, well, no, I remember playing Fallout 3 and a couple times, and I remember liking Fallout 3. I better go back and see if that was right, because I was going to do a re-review at some point. And I think the reason people don't like it is because then New Vegas came out right after it, and New Vegas was a lot better. but that doesn't mean that Fallout 3 was bad. It's just that New Vegas was a lot better, and it came pretty much like 2 years after the first one, so it's a little hard to compare. But Fallout 3 has its charms, not as many, but it's fine. And I mean, giant super mutants, those are fun. And then for
Always.
yeah. But so anyway, let's see. Anything else that happened? I don't think so. We are looking forward to the end of the year. The next time we do one of these live episodes, it will be in 2020. Oh my god.
Wow.
Oh, yes, it will be.
Oh my
very
goodness.
exciting.
It will be 2020 when we do another one of these. And so, still trying to work out what we're going to be doing for our holiday specials, all of them. That's all up in the air. That's going to be a fun thing for me to think of on the next couple weeks.
Covering all the holidays.
We're going to have to cover all the holidays. It's going to be every single holiday. Well, it's mostly for all the different projects that I normally do. I have to have some kind of a holiday thing. And then for our New Year's one, Alex and I will probably be talking more about what we're planning on doing for the next year, which is fun because I don't think we even know. But we'll work it out and we'll have an episode for that.
I must say, I really have enjoyed your return to like your roots this year with more of the like discussion on mechanics and stuff like that.
Good. Good.
That was always I've really appreciated that just from a game creator standpoint. So
Oh, good.
hopefully that doesn't go away.
Yeah, no, that's probably going to be a pretty big focus for us. The thing that we're trying to figure out is that we did have a few other kinds of projects that we wanted to work on that we want to be able to knock out time for. We're just trying to figure out how to do that. So we're gonna be trying to figure out what we can do for some of the other creative stuff that we wanted to do as well. That being said, someone had already contacted us and was like, hey, we got this thing coming out. And I'm like, oh, hey. I've already had a couple people talking to us about projects that are coming up. And it's like, could we come on the show? It's like, probably. Probably. I guess we could do that. Maybe.
Something.
Possibly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I hate to tell people, like, no more interviews. But at the same time, like, we had made a real conscientious decision, especially this year, that we weren't gonna just have every episode be a Kickstarter. Can't do that. Sorry. We're not gonna
That's
be.
fair.
Yeah. It's just it's way too much, just constant promotion of products, and that's not necessarily great too for people that are listening, because they might, finding out about new games and especially indie games is nice. But you might also want to like dig into topics too, and maybe get on some special guests. In more recent weeks, we had some pretty good guests on the show. I'd like to think in the last couple months, and those were all guests that we actively invited onto the show. Like those weren't guests that contacted us about their projects. Those were ones that we actively went out and courted. I think that made for really good episodes too. So, I'd like to do more of that. Have some other people that I'd like to be able to talk to in the ensuing year, to have them come onto the show, and more with me and Alex, and maybe we'll do more Reddit. Maybe not. I don't know.
I don't know. We didn't really get much feedback on that one.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know, man.
At least I don't remember. Maybe my memory is just garbage.
Yeah, no, I don't think anybody really mentioned anything about it. Which might be a good thing. Maybe it's better if people didn't give us feedback on that. I don't know. But hey. A good question is a good question. I do like being able to take a question that I saw and address it to the group, and to talk about it with other people. So come January, I might have another question that I pull from something that I've seen during the month, and we can jump off from that. Helps with a little bit of structure, and also kind of gives a topic specifically to talk about.
Right.
So that's something to do. With that, I don't really have anything else. Again, also just want to be thank you to James Introcaso for being so nice as to respond to my question about his question, and to give me his thoughts and ideas. And if you have not jumped over to DelveCast and looked at our latest episode about D&D Adventurers League, again, I said it at the very beginning, but in case people didn't hear it, there are a couple of good links there. If you're interested in Adventures League, there are specific links there for Delvers. One which is actually a free adventure, and one that if you want to get the intro adventure for this new season, through January 1st, it's good for 50% off if you follow the links, and those are in that description. So
Yeah, you get awesome stuff.
You get awesome stuff. If you want to get the stuff that's for the new season, there's a 50% off link in that description, and if you just want to get a free adventure that's actually AL legal, exploring the prison city of Walloon, that Alan Patrick himself actually made. There's a link to that too. So, and those are available to all of you. Actually, sort of our little Christmas present of sorts for all of you out there. Early Christmas present. Enjoy. Also, thanks to Alan for giving those to us and explaining all the stuff about a D&D Adventures League. Excellent. So, with that, I want to thank Drunk Paul, who was here for about 10 minutes at the very beginning. Everyone missed him. Hi, Paul. I want to thank James for coming on. Thanks, James.
Yeah, glad to be here.
Yeah.
I haven't been here for a while, but
Yeah.
I'm glad to be back and hanging out and talking about cool stuff like this with you guys.
I know that finals is like a thing for you right now, but I'm glad you made some time.
Yeah, me too. I needed the decompression, to be honest.
That's what we're known for, decompression time. And
Is that what we're known for?
sure, why not? I don't know what we're known for. When we find out, we'll let everybody know. And of course, I want to thank DC, whose opinions are his own and not representative of any company that he might work for.
Thanks for having me. I'm almost at 300 Twitter followers. I'm like 20 off. So
Ooh.
if you'd like to follow me, DCLASAIR. Thanks. And thank you again for having me. I really enjoyed the time here.
Oh, yes. Yes. We always enjoy having you here. And you are pretty much our resident expert in most everything RPG related. So it's good of you to be here. You almost have 300 Twitter followers. Good news, I almost have 300 Twitter followers. Hey.
Awesome.
Yeah, I'm at
And
288.
where can we follow you, Nathan?
You can follow me at DelvePodcast. No, you can follow me at Citanium. The P is silent, which is true in life as it is on the internet.
All right then.
That's what the rogue archetype is. And I'm gonna make... P illusionist. Okay, Alex.
Well, all right.
There's Alex, is the P silent in your handle?
Since it's EXP limited, no.
It's
not.
it's a hard P, is what you're saying. Mine's a soft P and yours is a hard P.
Nathan!
This has gotten wildly off topic.
You know. Anyway, you could follow all of those burning links in just... Anyway, so thanks for joining us, folks. It was good right up until the end when it kind of went off the rails, but you know, that's pretty much par for course here. Thank you for joining us, and we will see you on the next episode. Goodbye.
Bye, everybody.
See you next year.
The P is silent. Okay, I'm gonna stop now.